welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Chris.
Lee.
No Dan.
No Dan. He's gone to see a real comedian tonight.
Donald Trump.
No, we did that in the other show.
All right.
Yeah. So we'll just have to manage sort of three-handedly. It's a triple threat tonight.
Three-handed Lee?
Oh,
Oh, no.
No.
Anyway,
I could
Formula One,
tickle
this
the
is what
balls
we
and
hit.
work the shaft.
Oh, no.
Oh God, no, enough.
That's right, work the drive shaft whilst tickling those ball joints
Polishing the helmet as I'm doing it.
with your third hand. That's right, we're talking cars because this is Formula One.
Yeah.
Moving swiftly on. Let's go.
Talking of third hand, we'll do some third hand news. Might as well do the news first.
Yeah,
'Cause
may as well.
we've got a Brazil preview coming up tonight. A little bit of a Formula Lee update because the challenge is halfway through. We're out of free practice and we're now into the actual grid.
Yep.
But we'll start with the news. Jörg Zander is back at Sauber.
He is, which is quite good news for Sauber. I think he was part of the Sauber team when they were on
Good.
the way up. Yeah, when they were good, when they were on their way up, sort of like 2007, 2008, 2009, when they were scoring points fairly consistently. He then went on and spent some time at Audi in their WEC team. But now that they've decided to call it quits and concentrate on a Formula E outfit, Jörg Zander has left the team at Audi and gone straight back to Sauber, which is a big move for them because not only was he at Sauber, but I think he was also at Braun for that 1 year that they won the title.
Yes, he was. He joined Honda the July before Braun started.
Oh, so
And stayed with Braun. And then left
when they became Mercedes.
about 6 months after they became Mercedes.
Yeah.
Formed his own lot. He nearly went to HRT, which was probably a good move that he didn't.
Nobody wanted to do that job, did they? Let's be honest.
Well, nobody came out of that team with any credibility apart from Danny Rick.
Yeah, and he was on loan.
Yeah.
And they only borrowed him. But yeah, he's now back with Sauber, and they're going to have to do something for next year to basically.
Well,
make up.
he won't have any input in next year's car now.
Probably not, no. But
This
it'd be
time,
good.
yeah.
It'd be a good, strong thing to see him back on the for the team. See him
Yeah,
back.
they've just got to stay afloat until he can actually do something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's all they got to do.
I mean, they can have. I'm sure now that they can actually have upgrades, assuming that the Ericsson money still comes in. He'll be able to. Yeah, if he's there, he'll be able to do something on those.
Yeah, I mean, but like when we were talking about James Allison going to Ferrari, we sort of said that when he went to Ferrari, it would be a year, it would be a whole season until you saw any input. So if you consider that he would have gone at the same sort of time in a season to Ferrari and all the resources they've got, and it took a whole season for his input to get into the car.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I don't see anything.
He's more.
happening
Thing
here.
is, Jörg Zander's more of a technical director than an actual design.
Yeah, well,
man
that's what he's
or-
gone in as, his technical director. So he's going to be overhauling the entire technical team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean.
So,
But this is
kicking
going to be
ass,
stuff.
basically.
Yeah.
This is going to be stuff that's going to come through in 2018.
Yeah,
You know, so
but he will be there for next year.
Yeah. Just hope we see him on the grid. Basically.
yeah.
Depending on where their drivers are next year and how much money whichever drivers that end up at Sauber could put into the team.
Yeah.
Sauber are fucking dead to me. I really couldn't care any less about that team.
Are you the director for the world feed of the Formula One TV coverage?
There's a reason we called them Anonymous Sauber. But they're not that anonymous this week. They're the first main point in our news.
Yeah, but now we've got that out of the way, we can forget about it.
Yeah.
What's next up then?
Another return, and this one came completely out of left field, and there was a lot of goldfish impressions when we found this out about 10 minutes ago.
Jensen?
No,
Oh.
Rory Byrne
Oh.
back at Ferrari.
Oh.
Rory Byrne, him off of Benetton in the 90s.
Ferrari
Ferrari
in the 90s and noughties in the
Schumacher
Schumacher years.
And also, if I'm correct, Rory Byrne from Tyrrell in the 70s.
Well, he is 72, so he has been around long enough to have been there.
Right,
Yeah, I think he designed the Tyrrell cars
Yeah.
in the 70s, or was part of the designing team. So, yeah, Rory Byrne. He was instrumental during Michael Schumacher's very successful years. Along with Ross Brawn, oversaw all the championships that Michael Schumacher won.
Yeah.
The two at Benetton, and then when Ferrari decided they wanted to be Benetton, he was there for all of those as well. But
Well, he was one of the parts of the dream team.
yeah, but he's, as we just said, he's 72 years old, and the story is that he's actually working full time for Ferrari at Maranello, working on next year's car, the 2017 car. That is completely bonkers.
Yeah, but he's only just gone back now.
Well, no, that's the thing. It's the fourth time he's gone back since he left.
No, but like he's only gone back recently. Like,
He was in a consultancy role last year,
right, okay.
but we don't think he was working full time. Whereas now it looks like he's working full time at Ferrari.
Yeah, in 2013 he was an extra pair of hands and eyes, apparently. 2015 he was a consultant on the car, and now he is designing it. He can't do a worse job than what's happened to this year's car.
Well, I thought
Well,
year, the thing
it's
is,
not a bad car.
No, it's just we've discussed this before. It's not a terrible car this year's Ferrari. It's just where if you
It's a terrible team.
No, if you look at Mercedes, well, yeah, but
Yeah.
if you look at Mercedes being a 10 all round at everything apart from following, then Ferrari is 2 notches down on everything that Mercedes are doing. So it just makes it look like a poor car.
Realistically,
Whereas Red Bull is better at some things than Mercedes.
yeah.
Ferrari's not better at Mercedes than anything.
No.
So it's not a bad car. It's just not as good as it should be.
And don't forget, there was a big portion of this season where Ferrari were the second best team to Mercedes.
Early
and didn't,
season.
I'd say mid up to Spa. They had the second best car.
Yeah, that's a fair point to say, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Because they fucking snatched defeat from the jaws of victory in Spain.
Yeah.
So it's they've squandered a decent car.
Yeah, they should have won in Spain, but the Verstappen factor.
Yeah.
So.
No, but I think that Verstappen didn't beat Ferrari in Spain. Ferrari beat Ferrari, and that allowed Verstappen to win because they were already fucking themselves.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, personnel wise and strategy wise.
Well, they favoured their slower driver because he was he's the one with the more championships.
Yeah.
And wasn't there like a dodgy pit stop as well in Spain?
I can't
Well,
remember.
that split strategies, one to cover off one driver, one
Yeah.
to cover off
Yeah.
another, and which
Ferrari got it wrong because they thought Danny Rick would be the faster Red Bull driver,
Yeah.
and that wasn't the case.
yeah, whichever Ferrari was covering the slower Red Bull was the wrong strategy. And if you're going to split a strategy to take on another team, it's dependent.
One of
on,
them's going to be wrong.
One of them's going to be wrong because it all depends on what the other team are doing.
Mm.
And
Sometimes
it could
both of them could be wrong.
Yeah. It could have happened to anyone.
But yeah, I mean, Ferrari getting Rory Byrne back in. I'm not being rude here, but they can't do this forever. They can't do 20 years down the line if this isn't working for them again. They can't be like just give Rory Byrne a call.
Not without an incantation.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit strange.
There is something of the night about Arriva Bene.
They turn around and they say, "Get the axe. We're cutting a goat head off." And like, what? Are we putting in someone's bed again? No. This is a bloodletting ceremony.
Has anybody actually seen him step out of the garage and into daylight, into direct sunlight?
No. No one's seen him walk either. No one's seen him walk. He just hovers on a cloud of air.
And that's why he was so prevalent at the Singapore race.
Yeah.
And why he cannot wait for Abu Dhabi.
We might as well.
Although he won't be there at the podium. He'll be off halfway through the race, won't he, as the sun starts to come up.
Sun starts to come up.
Yeah.
It goes down in
It
Abu
goes
Dhabi.
down. It's a day-night race, not a night-day race.
Oh, I thought we went. Oh shit! It is as
No,
well.
you're thinking of Le Mans.
So we won't see the start.
He won't see the start. He'll be there at the end. I suppose we might as well talk about the other half of the 90s Ferrari dream team then, because Ross Brawn has been all over the bloody place ever since his Telegraph interview.
Many speculations linking Ross Brawn with various positions in Formula One. We touched on this a little bit in last week's podcast, where we sort of alluded to the fact that he would be sort of a pretty good replacement for Bernie Ecclestone on the commercial side of things. And then we said, well, no, actually, he was more aiming for the sporting side of things. So that would have been like essentially the old Max Mosley role.
Yeah.
Which has been replaced, but we don't know publicly. I don't think the man in that role is public at all. He's not. He doesn't.
I think it's a small gopher.
Possibly. Gordon the gopher. Yeah. So yeah, the various things, and Ross Brawn's done what we think is the same interview 3 times, with one longer interview to come later this week.
Yes, because
media outlets.
he started it off with the exclusive interview with the Telegraph, where he was starting to promote his book. Then he
exclusive for Monday.
Then he repeated it all with an interview with Sky.
Exclusive for Tuesday.
Yeah, and then again with the BBC.
Exclusive for Wednesday.
And then he's having a week off.
Exclusive to him.
And then he's back on a Sky special this week.
Exclusive to Sky Thursday.
No, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday too. Wednesday harder.
Yeah.
This time it's Wednesday.
Just ask Wednesday Adams. But no, in all seriousness though, Ross Brawn has admitted that he's been working with Liberty Media in helping them to understand the sport. And
but he can't say how because it's all confidential.
Correct. He has said the work is confidential, and also how to.
In fact, he said it was confidential to 3 different media places.
Well, this sounds straightforward then, doesn't it?
How best to. He's guiding them how best to take over the sport.
But Chase Carey's been very since they've took Formula One over. He's been very visual on the grid. You know, he's been at a lot of races.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we see him taking over the commercial side of Formula One and doing the commercial side of Bernie?
So Chase doing what Bernie does now.
Yeah, and and Ross doing a portion of that work as far as liaising with teams and things, I'd imagine. And then the rest of the sporting stuff.
Yeah, because I mean the way it's sort of been presented is that Bernie is going to be handling the commercial side for a period of time. 3 years has been mentioned. Until probably somebody says the wrong thing to him and he takes his bat home.
Yeah.
Which he's very likely to. And maybe keeping Bernie away from the teams isn't the worst idea possible.
No, I think Chase Carey is a kind of intelligent man. He's not just going to let things carry on as they are. He will have been taking, as we were talking about on the Patreon podcast before, feedback. He will have been asking people for feedback as what they think is best, and I think this is what's good. Not that kind of feedback. And he would have been saying what he thinks is the best. Other people would have been saying what they think is the best thing for the sport, and I think a resounding and a repetitive answer would have been Bernie mixing his commercial side of things with the sporting side of things.
It's probably not great.
Probably not great. And I think
conflict of interest, anyone?
Yeah, slightly. And I think that's just something that will have been repeated up and down the paddock. And when you've got various figureheads sort of saying similar things, you know, he will have listened.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I can see that move making sense for the sport, and see where it goes from there. But Liberty Media also finding themselves in a little bit of hot water with something else at the moment.
Well, possibly hot water, possibly something standard, but the
Tepid
water. Tepid water.
Lukewarm water.
Liberty Media, the takeover is being looked at by. It's the replacement for the British Monopolies and Mergers Commission, which I can't remember what they.
Let's just call it a Monopolies Commission because everybody knows what that means.
Yeah,
most people know what that means.
Yeah, they're called the CMA now.
Yeah, but basically that's the commission that makes sure that no company gets too big that they completely crush the competition.
Yeah,
and
they also made the little dogs and the boots.
that wasn't that kind of monopoly. But they make sure that basically no one company can completely control.
What about the steamships?
Control an industry. There is an Isle of Man Monopolies Commission, believe it or not. They don't actually pay much attention to things.
What? Yeah, it's called the government.
Yes.
But they got it all wrong and they just set them up.
Absolutely. But getting back to what we were talking about with Formula One, I don't see what it's got to do with the UK government or the UK Monopolies Commission, because Formula One, if I'm right, is registered in France.
Yes, it's one of these bizarre business-related things. The Competition and Markets Authority, according to Reuters,
Is that what it is?
News
Competitions
agency.
and Markets Authority.
Yeah, they will consider whether it is or may be the case that acquisition by Liberty Media of Formula One, if carried into effect, will result in creation of a relevant merger situation. Consider whether creation of situation may result in a substantial lessening of competition within any market or markets in the UK for goods or services.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Not really.
No.
And invites comments on transaction from any interested party. Well, there isn't any real competition.
Well, I'm an interested party.
Yeah, but there isn't really any competition for Formula One racing apart from Formula One.
No.
'Cause, I mean, you go back to the 70s and there was like national F1 series.
And F2 series as well. That
Yeah.
were sort of they were still funded by various motor manufacturers.
Could
and
it be
things.
something to do with when the teams were trying to get more money? Could that be what they're looking at?
It could possibly be something to do with would the takeover affect the
New
team's
entrants.
ability to compete
Yeah.
and even take part.
Because what you got to remember as well is a lot of the teams are based in Britain. I think it's every team apart from Sauber, based in Switzerland, Toro Rosso, based in Faenza, and Ferrari, based in Maranello.
Haas.
And Haas, are they? Do they have a UK?
They've got
base?
a UK base, but they're actually registered in the US.
Well, there you go then. So most of the teams are still based in sort of the Silicon Valley area of, not Silicon Valley, you know what I mean, the M4 corridor.
The Petrol Valley, I think
Yes.
they call it. Or
Yeah.
Hybrid Valley.
Hybrid Valley as it is now. Yeah, that stretch of motorway in the UK.
So yeah, it's probably just to do with the amount of British teams that are in there, and are they looking at it to see will any of the teams get ripped off? And to be honest, if it's getting rid of Delta Topco and Bernie Inc., the answer to that question will be not as much as they are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also you got to look when they're looking at competition. I wonder if they are referencing the fact that Formula E now has a lot of British business interest in the teams are based in the UK as well, and they want to make sure that what Formula One are doing is not trying to crush what's building up as a smaller Formula E, because potentially. And I am saying potentially, as in I don't actually think it's going to happen. But those two sports could merge in the future.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see them merging.
No, I'm just saying potentially. And you're looking at it from a business point of view.
Formula One will keep. I don't think Formula One will ever go fully electric. I think before it goes electric, it'll go hydrogen.
If they can harness the power correctly.
Yeah.
Without.
Well, no, I think that's the
Unless 5 years down the line we get Formula H.
Oh yeah. But I think the thing is with Formula One being.
I honestly think Formula One will stay petrol powered, and the petrol engines will just get smaller and smaller and more efficient.
Yeah. But I mean, well, it will change as soon as the technology's there, because that's what I think electric, even in road cars, is a stopgap until it's hydrogen is safer to put in road cars,
It's
and
not
B, more cost efficient to make.
Yeah, and it's not the main problem with hydrogen is, getting into science here, hydrogen is always attached to something else.
Yeah.
And extracting hydrogen means basically scraping it off.
Think of it as a
anything else.
clingy girlfriend.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it just means scraping it from other substances, and the process that you have to go through to do that, it's like putting an electrical charge through various gases. Very, very dangerous to do.
Yeah.
That's what's more dangerous than actually holding it in your car, because it's actually hydrogen almost on demand, where the hydrogen isn't actually dangerous unless the car is running.
But
So-
it can turn into a bomb.
It can do, yeah.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah, it could be literally an H-bomb.
Yeah.
Talking of which, we had the fire brigade going around the island to all the schools detonating chemicals that have been used in chemistry lessons that have now been declared unsafe at the weekend.
Why?
Because all these chemicals have been declared unsafe because they've realised that the storage conditions that they had for these incredibly flammable and explosive chemicals that used to be used in the A-level syllabus and aren't anymore.
Yeah.
The storage conditions they printed were actually wrong, and it made them more flammable and more explosive.
So the fire brigade.
So the fire brigade and the bomb disposal squad
It sounds like modern health and safety pissed.
Yeah, had to go and blow them up. However, they borrowed the fire brigade on bonfire night. Smart move.
Slick.
Well
That-
done.
Then again, Douglas fireworks on November the 5th, the ones that didn't happen. Yeah. Because they...
Yeah, I'm just going to have like a very, very quick local rant about stuff. The Douglas fireworks take place in front of the War Memorial
Yeah.
on the promenade. So this Sunday they decided to blow up a load of fireworks in front of a War Memorial, where this coming Sunday they will stand in silence and remember that a lot of people died in explosions.
I never thought of it that way, but yeah. Yeah, smart planning.
No. Continue.
That was me being sarcastic. Let's have something light-hearted. Do we have Toto in the room?
They should do it at the same time and see if we can get any like Nana and Grandad flashbacks.
World War One flashbacks, you won't get any because there's no soldiers alive from World War One anymore.
This is did you? Oh, sorry. Right, this isn't Formula One.
Oh no.
Formula One related, but it's fucking hilarious.
Go on. Be quick.
Going off at more tangents than a badly set up soundbar.
Yeah. You know how EA have just released Battlefield?
Yes.
The Battlefield game, which is based in World War One.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've had the
this is why I think it was Dave Flynn said he was going to struggle to put a decent time in because he just bought Battlefield.
Yeah.
Right. But you've had these hashtags going around for ages, haven't you? Like hashtag just relationship things.
Yeah,
Stuff like that. Yeah. Well, EA
hashtag Battlefield things.
Whoever wait for fucking this.
Go on.
In their infinite wisdom, they put a picture up of people getting incinerated with a flamethrower, along with the tweet, when you and your crew are too fire in the club, hashtag World War One things.
Oh dear, they got that a bit wrong, didn't they?
The first comment on that I saw underneath was, my great grandfather was burnt alive in World War One.
Exactly. It's not. This is the thing. World War One was the first war to be documented properly, so it will always be documented properly.
Yeah.
Which is why you got to be very careful with things.
The
like
war to end all wars.
But it wasn't.
But it wasn't.
Well, let's get back to what we were talking about. And
I prefer World War Two. War harder.
Careful, we might not be that far away from World War Three.
A good day to war.
No. War hard with a vengeance.
Isn't that a night out in Newcastle?
Yeah.
Can we have the prequel now? War Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh dear.
God. We'll move on from marketing failures to apparently marketing successes. Do we have Toto in the room?
Yes, he's back for now.
Hey, Toto.
How long's he been to South Africa?
Have you been on
I
holiday,
was unprepared.
Have you been on holiday, Toto?
Getting into character, going from Antarctica northwards.
Fucking stop saying in character there's kayfabe mean nothing to you.
Just drop me off at Austria, that will do.
Absolutely. Why not?
Toto Wolff has said that F1 in general should look at the way that the US and Mexican Grand Prix are marketed, and that would help out the German race because they have both have been an out-and-out success. And Germany has been struggling, especially with not even being a German Grand Prix last year.
Germany, I've been to both circuits. I've been to
Nürburgring and Hockenheim.
Yeah.
Good Hockenheim or broken Hockenheim?
Broken Hockenheim. Yeah, I think this was the problem with the German Grand Prix when they alternated the circuits between Nürburgring and Hockenheim.
Yeah, well, the thing is Schumacher has fucked it. It's since there hasn't been Schumacher.
Well, they loved Vettel when Vettel won his 4
No,
world
they've
titles.
never took to Vettel, not properly.
Really?
When I was there, Vettel was world champion, and his merch stand was empty.
Because they bought it all.
No.
Empty of people, but full of
Empty
merch.
of people, but full of stuff.
Oh, right, okay.
And also, it cost an extra €10 for a Kimi Raikkonen hat because his was the most popular.
So Kimi was the most popular driver.
Yeah.
Rather than...
Would it have anything to do maybe with the fact that Seb was driving for Red Bull at the time, which is an Austrian organisation?
No, I think it's got more to do with the fact that, like, I know this is going to sound stupid, but he's not in the same way as Nico Hülkenberg isn't. He's not like the most German of Germans.
He's a very British German.
Yeah.
He's got a sense of humour. He likes a bit of a... And I don't mean the Germans don't have a sense of humour.
Like, Pascal Wehrlein is a German.
Yeah, but Vettel's got a very British sense of humour.
Yeah.
He likes a little bit of slapstick comedy and, you know, the sort of awkward, cringy sort of... I'm happy at Monaco last year and, you know, sort of stuff like that. He I know what I mean with him not being not quintessentially German. Whereas
but there was just something about Schumacher that they really digged.
Efficient and unemotional.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, but on the other hand of that, when it was that hard to find facilities at Hockenheim to get a drink and a
burger
sausage from
currywurst.
Yes. It was that hard that we were sat with a £800 telephoto lens, because we could see quite a lot of the track, scanning the track to try and find somewhere. We couldn't see anything, couldn't see a bar, couldn't see something until one of us with keen eyes saw smoke from the back of something, and we sent a small team of intrepid explorers
to go and
find out what the smoke was. And it was one van, but you are talking a man in a van selling beers and sausages. People. Yeah, they were gone for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Whoa.
This is the thing. You've got to provide the correct facilities when you do things on the scale of a Formula One race. You know, we couldn't bid for a Formula, even if we had the money, we couldn't bid for a Formula One race and hold it here outside your house.
No,
because A, there's no circuit, and B, even if there was, we couldn't provide the facilities to serve all the people that would come to a Formula One race.
See, on the other one of that, Nürburgring's a really weird one to go to as well, because you don't buy a ticket for the circuit, you buy a ticket for a corner.
Yes, you've said that before.
Yeah, and every corner has its own entrance, and you can only stay within the confines of that entrance.
I find that a very...
Oh shit! It's horrible. Like, because part of what's cool going to a race
is walking around,
is having a wander around, and being able to get to like the merch parts and things like that, and you know it's good. Like
I find that very stereotypically German as well.
It's
very organised.
That was pretty German, yeah.
Very organised. Very. You must stay here.
Yeah. So
Nürburgring is Schumacher.
Yeah.
And Hockenheim is just not very German at all.
Hockenheim's Fallout.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why the trees are growing back.
Although when I was at Hockenheim, I did see Massa have to move over for Alonso.
You were there for that. Fernando was faster than you.
Boos when that happened were incredible.
Because it was obvious what was happening.
Yeah.
So, when you were at Hockenheim, aside from the fact that facilities were fairly poor, did you have access to a large TV screen from the stand? No, that again a huge problem.
And bearing in mind as well, we were on the hairpin,
right at the end of the sort of curved straight.
Right at the end of that. So because there's people on both sides of that, you'd think there'd be two back to back.
prime
somewhere
position
there.
for a screen. Or
Big
something.
runoff area there as well, so they could have even had one at the bottom of the runoff area.
Yeah. Track announcer.
Yes, there was. Was there a track? Was the track announcer? I don't know. You can never really hear it anyway or make it out. It's just noise.
Yeah.
There was no big screen at Nürburgring either.
I find this quite
we
poor
were,
for a country.
We were on the last straight as the run down to the chicane.
Yeah.
You know, like the uphill.
Yeah.
We were there. See, I mean, big screens, unless you're fully grandstanded in like the posh grandstands, there are few and far between on race circuits.
Yeah. But for the big stands though, I expect to see.
Well, you see, where we were, there wasn't a stand there because they took the stand away. So I don't really think we were supposed to be where we were.
You just stood on a mound
next
to the circuit.
It was a large hill, and we built a grandstand essentially out of like scaffold planks that we found.
Yeah.
So, but you could tell Hockenheim especially, you could tell that was a circuit which didn't quite have the money to put that race on.
So the angle I'm getting at here is Hockenheim now is at the point that Silverstone was 15 years ago, maybe a bit more.
No, it was much worse than that. Hockenheim was much worse than that.
And they threatened to take the race away from Silverstone for poor facilities.
And
what happened was there was investment into the circuit before the race was promoted again.
Because you'd be talking, when did Schumacher break his legs? 98?
99.
99. That was I think that was the last race I was at Silverstone.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of era you'd be talking about, you know, with them getting. But the facilities were so much better at Silverstone.
And they were threatening then to take the race away from Silverstone.
Than Hockenheim.
So the point I'm making here is it's not the fact that the race has to be promoted better. It's not that it's maybe more advertising, much like the US are doing and the Mexico Grand Prix to get big numbers in. It doesn't matter if you've got big numbers in if 90% of the people who turn up to your race go away saying I'm never going there again.
Yeah.
Because what you need to do is investment into the circuit first, investment into the circuit and investment into the infrastructure around the circuit, and also facilities and areas that fans can go to and feel welcome. We had a lot of photos from people, well, a few photos from people, listeners who went to the US Grand Prix at the circuit in the Americas, holding cardboard cutouts of drivers in fan areas, fan zones, fan zones, if you will. Awesome idea, great idea. A little bit cheesy, but hey, everyone loves it.
Everyone wants to meet a hero.
And if it's a cardboard cutout of your hero, it doesn't matter. It's funny. You know, I got my picture taken with Felipe Massa, ace. And
he smelt of cardboard.
He smelt of cardboard. Bit of wet cardboard. I think it might rain that day.
You know what you should have done?
What?
You should have broke a chunk off his head and then.
No. Or drawn pen under his eyes when it rained. Black tears.
Just like the real thing.
But yeah, things like that make Formula One and engage the fans, make Formula One fun and engage the fans a bit more. If the circuit is failing to do that, it's not the job of the promoters to get people to come to the circuit when there's not really anything other than the cars going around on tarmac for them to be there.
This is one thing that Toto's saying, because the concerts that they had in Austin and Mexico, there was things for the fans to do.
Yeah.
And he's saying that
it's no good if they've only got one guy there with a burger van.
Yeah, and it should be a spectacle.
The only thing I'd argue with that, and not knowing where everything is in relation to the circuit in Texas or Mexico, but like the European Grand Prix that I've been to are a fucking trek away from anything. You know, like the Spa, for instance. Spa is in the middle of the fucking country. There's about
nowhere.
I would imagine there is about 100 houses spotted around the circuit.
Well,
it's a big circuit.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because with Austin and with Mexico, they're right next to an airport.
Yeah.
Silverstone has the airport in the middle of the track.
Yeah, but
that's the only way to get there. Only way to get there easily.
Yeah, but that is for You know, it's
for the poshos.
Yeah, it's an
It's a helicopter
thing, right?
airport, isn't it, rather than an actual airport?
But Silverstone is another prime example of it's just on a fucking motorway. You know, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing around it. So I off the top of my head, there was a small village around Hockenheim that you had to walk through. But you got the train to Hockenheim, and then you had a 40 to 50 minute walk to the circuit from the train.
This is what I mean about when I was talking before about infrastructure.
But this is the thing. There would be no point having a concert at Hockenheim or Nürburgring, because the logistics of Nürburgring was pretty good because it's still completely on its own, but there's loads of car parks.
That's where Rock am Ring.
I was going to say they have a festival there every year.
But I mean, you're talking. When you talk about the amount of people that are there for a Grand Prix, the logistics, and it's festivals will be different because you get people going in and out and staying another day and stuff like that. Yeah. But after the race, 100,000 people want to leave.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is it's the logistical problem of if people stay for that extra 5 hours, it's later on in the evening and it's getting people out of the circuit then.
Yeah, well, that's with the circuit of the Americas, a lot of people seemed to buy tickets just to watch Taylor Swift's only appearance of the year.
Yeah.
At the circuit of the Americas. And I don't know how much longer after that quali session on the Saturday it was, but it was on the Saturday night, and obviously there was catering and what you'd expect it, basically a gig essentially.
Yeah.
And I think they had a couple of other acts on Sunday night, but obviously Taylor Swift stole the show for doing her performance on Saturday.
I'm sure there was people that went there that were confused why there was a motor race at a Taylor Swift gig.
Probably.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did see tweets about that.
Yeah.
Moving on to another Grand Prix that's, it was penciled in, but apparently is now looking safer for next year, is the Canadian race.
Yes, organisers are very close to doing a deal to keeping it on the calendar for another 4 years, I believe.
Which is about the same length as Lance Stroll's contract at Williams.
Yeah.
Are these things connected?
Yes, they are. His father, Lawrence Stroll, is reported to be the man behind the money.
No, his first name is Billionaire. Because every time I've seen him reported in the press, they've always called him Billionaire Lawrence Stroll.
Well, Billionaire Lawrence Stroll is reportedly the man behind the money that's put forward the necessary funds to keep the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal.
Yeah.
And the circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
See, there's a fucking circuit that should never struggle, because it's always full. It's always full. It's fucking easy for people to get to there because it's essentially a roundabout.
It's in the middle of a river.
Yeah, no, but there's a road on it and a road off it.
Yeah.
I know my friend used to live in Canada there, and he was saying that through the year
it's a park.
No, it's essentially a roundabout. You go over the bridge, round the track, and then off the track to go to a different part of the city. So it's essentially a massive roundabout
with a casino on it.
Yeah. But the it's so close to a major city.
Yeah, it's got Montreal either side of it, so that helps. I think that's what helps as well with the Mexican Grand Prix, is that it was such an old circuit that's sort of been revamped. That all sort of things were built around it. It was right in the middle of Mexico City.
Yeah.
It's not sort of on the, like Austin is sort of on the outskirts, but still very close to the airport.
Yeah.
It's in the city, in Mexico City, which is why so many people I think were able to attend.
Yeah.
Now, I'm talking to circuits next to and close to airports on the outskirts of places. They're still trying to. They've got planning permission for an F1 and MotoGP quality circuit in Tenerife next to the South Airport.
That'll never happen.
I can't see it happening just because of the way that Spanish planning usually works. Although if it does happen, I am there like a shot because it is 5 minutes walk away from my mum and dad's house.
I'm just going off the fact that haven't Spain got like about twice what I have in the bank, which isn't a lot.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but don't forget, Tenerife is Spain's Isle of Man.
Yeah, but
The Canary Islands are a tax haven.
Do they have speed limits?
Nobody pays any attention to them anyway.
Well, there you go.
But I can't see that happening.
No, it'd be nice if it did, because then I could just stay at my mum's.
Yeah, no.
Lean out the bedroom window and watch a race.
Yeah.
Let's have something daft now. The Renault Clio Kevin Magnussen edition.
I was a bit dubious about this when we heard about this before. Renault.
I think your exact words were, "What's the betting? It's yellow, slow, and stuck in a wall."
I did say that actually. Yeah. Renault have released or are going to release, according to some non-English speaking websites, the Renault Kevin Magnussen edition, Clio. Renault Clio Kevin Magnussen edition. And the Renault Clio, for those of you who don't know, is a very small hatchback, very European car. It's been around for 25, 30 years. So very,
they used to be in the 90s the Williams edition.
Yeah, they were blue with gold wheels when Williams were winning things. And the only thing I can see that's different with the Renault Clio RS 1.6, which is their super sporty version, and the Kevin Magnussen edition, is that they've put a sticker on it and it's yellow. That's it. It's the Kevin Magnussen edition is just the yellow RS 1.6 with Kevin Magnussen's name stuck on it.
Yeah.
So does this mean he's staying at Renault next year?
Well, I don't know, because it depends how removable the sticker is.
Mind you,
There
was a Williams
the
Renault
Nico
as well, but Renault didn't stay at Williams.
No, yeah, good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Magnussen has been in talks with Haas, and according to Fred Vasseur,
Oh, Fredo.
Fred from Renault, it's perfectly normal for him to have negotiations with another team.
Of course it is, yeah. I mean, it happens all the time. People negotiate with other teams, not just drivers, but engineers and various other sought after staff. But yeah, I find it odd that they've chosen to do a Kevin Magnussen edition. I mean, why not Jolyon Palmer edition?
That probably shows that he's a goner, or he doesn't want his name attached to a hot hatch.
No, but I find it odd that they've chosen Kevin Magnussen and not their new signing, for example, Nico Hülkenberg, and not wait until next year to release it.
Because the Hülkenberg edition will only have one seat, because you will only be able to drive it yourself.
And it'll only drive for 24 hours
yes.
by itself.
I like the idea that the Kevin Magnussen edition of Renault, you've got to buy the car and then bring 2.5 million with you to get in.
Yeah, yellow paint becomes optional.
While we're on the silly season with K-Mag discussing with Haas, still no news on who the lineup's going to be for next year. Stories coming out that Esteban Ocon is now favourite for the Force India seat, that Hülkenberg is vacating.
Yeah, we've speculated on this for a while. A lot of websites are reporting pictures of Esteban Ocon in Force India gear, saying he is already signed. But the only problem with that is those pictures are from when Esteban Ocon tested for Force India in 2014.
Yeah.
So don't believe when you see the pictures in some websites saying he's already signed, because he hasn't yet.
This is why the pictures that they're releasing look like he's never shaved in his life.
I'm surprised,
Because I don't think he has.
if Mercedes have got the swing to throw a driver into the Mercedes, I'm surprised they're going with Ocon and not Wehrlein.
I don't know if that's a Mercedes decision or whether it's a Force India decision, or whether Force India were given the pick of Wehrlein and Ocon, and they've gone for Ocon for one reason or another. Maybe Ocon brings money and Wehrlein needs paying. Who knows?
Maybe.
Well, apparently Vijay Mallya has been discussing the four drivers that were in the frame. The other
From his home, because he can't go anywhere
three, from
else.
his secret underground bunker.
Meanwhile, in the Batcave.
from his home, the Black Skull.
Just next to the Shark Tank. The other drivers were Wehrlein, Palmer and Nasser. Two of whom definitely bring sponsorship.
Yeah. Palmer and Nasser.
Yeah, Mallya has... it says held meetings, but I think it's 10-minute Skype calls to discuss the four drivers' suitability, and Ocon has emerged as the favourite to take it. Maybe Mercedes were just offering Force India the choice.
Maybe. Could be.
It
What?
could be that Manor had a bit of a say in it as well, and saying, look, which of the two drivers would you rather hold on to, seeing as we're going to be pinching one of your drivers to take to Force India? Which one do you want to hold on to? We'll hold on to Wehrlein.
Yeah.
Right, all right, okay, we'll put Esteban Ocon in the
Could be.
Force India. You never know. There's so many clauses and sub clauses and in contracts that we'll never get to see, and look nothing like the one Nico Rosberg signed with Toto Wolff in that horrible video all those months ago now.
No, that really candid one where he was obviously just signing his contract.
Yeah, they just happen to do one in each language.
Yeah, the English hug and the German hug. Although Pascal Wehrlein has actually said that he'd be happy to stay at Manor for another season.
I think he'd just be happy to be in Formula One at the moment because it's a bit. I like Wehrlein. He's very, very quick single lap.
Yeah.
Race pace questionable at times, but
I don't know what. Can you really judge anything from it when you put it in Manners?
But exactly that's the thing. From what we've seen, Wehrlein looks very, very good, but we don't know how good he is because he's in a Manor.
Yeah.
But it's the same with Ocon, to be fair. He's got his feet under the table quite quickly there, and if he has gotten a drive at Force India, fair play to the young man.
Yeah. See, I still can't, especially for the last couple of races, the way he's performed on Sunday. I really hope Palmer gets another year.
Yeah, but
I think he deserves
this is the
it.
thing.
There's
You wouldn't want to see him in a Sauber.
Well, there's essentially still two Renault seats available. Yeah.
One Renault seat.
Who? Oh, it's Hulkenberg.
Hulkenberg's got one.
Yeah. Sorry.
There's one Force India seat.
There's
2 seats at Haas.
2 seats at Haas. 2 seats at
Sauber. And 2 seats at Manor because they haven't confirmed anyone yet.
I don't think he'll go to Manor, but I can see Sauber being
an option for Palmer.
An option for him, but I think the thing is because actually now the way it's shaken down, there's unless a new name comes in from somewhere to sweep a seat up, there seems to be enough seats for the drivers that are trying to get seats.
Yeah, it's just where they're going to go.
Yeah.
You know, and who's going to miss out because there will be 1 or 2 drivers that are currently on the grid that we won't see next year, and whether it because
there's been 2 drivers that have said they're not coming back next year. There's been 2 new drivers announced.
Yeah.
So that leaves.
You're talking Button and Massa, and of course their replacements, Van Dorn and Stroll.
Yeah, Stoffel and Stroll. That sounds really badly, almost like Netflix and chill for the F1 generation.
Stoffel and Stroll. We sort of know what Stoffel's all about a little.
Yeah.
Lance Stroll said he deserves a shot in Williams next year because he's won every championship that he's taken part in, despite the fact he's from money.
Good looking at Williams to keep that going.
Yeah, but didn't the Pacific team win every championship that they entered, and then they put a car in Formula One? And yeah, right.
Bertrand Gachot.
Yeah.
Giovanni Lavargi.
Exactly. Although, thank you to Gemma for tweeting this 2 minutes ago. Charles Leclerc.
Has he been confirmed at Haas?
No, but he will be driving in FP1 for Haas in Brazil.
Ooh. Now, they said they weren't going to sign him for next year, didn't they? Did they not rule him out?
Not official, or maybe officially, but never believe anything until it's been officially ruled out.
And then never believe it until it's been officially ruled out. Yeah, officially denied.
So that could be the new name. So we could be seeing one driver leaving the grid if we'll be seeing one driver leaving the grid if Leclerc comes in.
I think if Ocon is going to take this seat at Force India, I think we'll see Jordan King stepping up to the Manor seat alongside Pascal Wehrlein. At Sauber, I don't think they're going to change their drivers. I think they'll stick with Nasser and Ericsson purely because of the money that the both of them bring in. And the fact that they don't think they can afford to get rid of anyone.
Well, because don't forget, Ericsson's been trying to get that Force India drive as well.
Yeah. It's interesting to see, though, that Ericsson's name wasn't among... I mean, this comes from Autosport, and I trust them.
Is that a Freudian slip when you said his name wasn't among?
amongst. But yeah, Ericsson's name wasn't actually mentioned. in the 4 drivers that Autosport seem to think are the top choices.
Yeah.
I'm picking my words carefully. He's going to have to stay at Sauber, and I think Sauber will be happy with that because he brings the money, because it's his dad and dad's friend's team.
Yeah. Well, I think it's strange stuff going on.
Romain Grosjean could yet find himself without a drive for next year.
Yeah.
It is a possibility.
Would it be a great?
It depends how cutthroat Haas want to be in this sport.
And he's not really been doing a great deal to endear himself to the team.
No.
We keep saying this every time, and every race he comes out with a new way of saying this car is a sack of shit this weekend.
But again, I can't fault the guy for saying these things.
No, you can't,
Because
he's a
every time-
racing driver.
Because every time he presses the brake pedal, something falls
It
off.
breaks.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't break. That's
the problem.
It's already broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there are still a few movements to make at that back end of the grid, but interesting to see who gets that other Renault seat.
Are we going to be waiting until Barcelona testing for all the lineups to be announced?
Nah, I think we'll be sorted. It's going to take one move. I think one as soon as that Force India seat is gone,
Yeah.
everything will just go.
And you just watch, the press release will come out 10 minutes after we hit the stop button.
Oh yeah, without a fucking shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, they do this to us deliberately.
Yeah.
They just hate us because we've been right so often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't hate the podcasters, hate the game.
What's Triple H
Doesn't
ever
work,
done to
does
you?
it?
And it was a perfectly good song by Motorhead. I'm sorry, but I really liked it.
Time to play the game.
Yeah. All right. Talking of hate, you haven't been getting a lot of hate this week, Lee,
I've no.
because you've been nice to everyone.
And
Thanks to everybody who was nice to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
My affections can easily be bought.
Obviously.
Peanut butter M&Ms usually. Apparently, there's somewhere over here that sells them now, but I'm not going to tell you where.
Bastard.
That's
Is it that place that's quite good with the flowers?
I'm not saying.
Oh.
And that's Mr. Bastard to you.
I don't think it would have been quite. It would not be as good going in and buying a small packet as it was somebody sending me a baby's worth of them.
I thought it was a cat's worth.
A metric baby.
Metric baby.
But yeah, the Formula Lee Challenge for Brazil is still ongoing.
If you haven't got the rules yet.
Yep, they are. Lee?
Brazil, dry, midday, Mercedes.
Yes. And not to give away too much, but we've had sort of FP1 week, and there's a little bit of a tie going on in the Three Legs Four Wheels podcast situation.
Well, there is at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, Lee and myself. Lee did it first, but Lee and myself have both put in identical times to the 1,000th.
This is going to be an interesting week. We've got our sort of private chat going. And I'm just waiting for the trash talk and the insults.
Well,
if I think we should make it clear as well in the event of conjoined times.
yeah.
Yeah.
Earliest gets it. Formula One rules.
Yeah, and it will be me. Say if we're in the top 10, it would be like 4th and 5th. So we could, someone's going to go out.
Mm.
Yeah. You can't have
It's just
equal
a-
fourth
yeah.
and then a fifth.
I just want another chance at Gutierrez, Paul.
To be honest with you,
Do you know what? Have you've not seen the latest times, have you?
No.
No. I'm in 11th at the minute.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So essentially, what I'm saying. So if me and Flood were joined a number, you would be 10th.
Well, no, because you are 4th and 5th. Lee, you're 4th because you set your time early.
That's
Chris,
what I'm
you're
saying.
5th, yeah.
But if we were joined
if
4th,
you were joined 4th, yeah, I'd
Yeah.
be 10th. But
See,
no, because
that's a beautiful rule
Do you know
working
what?
at its finest.
what will be wonderful is if we improve our times again this week and still manage to do exactly the same
If
time.
that happens, we're getting married.
But getting into really sort of geekiness here. I looked at our sector times as well.
Yeah.
Our first sector, I think you were quicker than me in the first sector. I was quicker than you in the second sector, and our last sector was also identical.
This is going to be a long week, and the problem is I'm of course losing. I'm losing 4 days of race time this week.
Well, I'm going to lose.
Oh, of course you are.
Yeah, I go away Thursday morning.
And you come back?
I come back late on Sunday night. I've got a confession to make. I'm going to have to watch Brazil recorded.
Slightly later. Not necessarily recorded. You'll be probably watching it whilst the racing is finishing, but you'll be in the early stages of it.
No, because the race starts at 4
Yeah.
UK time. My flight is at 5:20.
Hang on, the race doesn't start at 4, does it?
I think the race starts at 4.
Does it?
Yeah. My flight is at 5:20. They never show F1 in Liverpool Airport. I tried to ask them last year because I missed the Russian race when I was flying back from the same rock festival. So I can either sit there and follow the live blog, which you can also follow on through legs4wheels.com, that Chris and Dan will be doing this weekend.
Yeah, I'll have Dan alongside me for Dan obviously did the last live blog if you were with us for that one at the Mexican Grand Prix. Dan likes to throw stats out and then we like to tighten generally, but it'd just be me alongside Dan for the Brazilian Grand Prix. So yeah,
is Dan going to do it naked like Paul usually does?
Yeah, I think so. I think I
I'd
might.
keep me socks on.
Sorry, one of them.
Well, all 3. I've got to keep my socks on. You know, I've got cats. There's cat toys all over the floor. You want to stand on a plastic shoe mouse in your bare feet?
My fucking cat got me in the cock the other day.
Good lord.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Formula Lee.
Formula Lee.
So yeah, Formula 1 2016 by Codemasters on various platforms. As Lee gave the rules out just before. If you want to join, if you've never done it before, go on the time trial, throw in a lap, send it to us, and we'll see what where you come on the leaderboard. We only read out the top 10, but we put up the whole leaderboard on the website.
Don't know what's going to happen next year when we get to a new game halfway through the season.
We'll think of something. I also may have had a couple of drinks on Friday, and I might have tweeted at Codemasters saying any chance of some prizes. They haven't replied.
No.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised.
Not after the injunction.
I'm surprised he didn't cotton on as to why there were so many manners in the wet joining the leaderboard at Mexico. But they just didn't, did they?
No. No, Codemasters, up your game, and I apologise for drunk tweets. Shall we talk about Brazil for real?
Brazil for real?
Brazil for reals.
All right, then, go on, then. Let's do this, then.
Right, well, it's coming up this weekend.
It is.
Yeah, definitely. It is a thing that is happening. The first thing that you've got to talk about with the Brazilian Grand Prix is the weather.
Yes, absolutely.
Because there have been some wet races there that have caused absolute carnage.
There have, and I bring to mind 2008, the Lewis Hamilton Championship winning year.
Yeah.
Other wet Brazil races.
What was the year when everybody crashed?
At the same corner.
Yeah.
It was like 2003, I think
Yeah,
it would have been.
something like that.
Which
that
when
second to last corner, just before the straight.
when they used to, when it used to be at the start of the season before they moved it to the end because of the rainy season.
Yeah.
Without fully realising that there are 2 rainy seasons. in Brazil.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first half of the year and the latter half of the year.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm keeping a keen eye on the weather at the moment.
Yeah. It's like Isle of Man weather. You get 10 months of rain and 2 months of, I wouldn't put the washing out if I was you.
Yeah, I'm keeping a keen eye on the weather for Brazil at the moment because
you've been keeping a keen eye on the weather for Brazil since last week. And
yes, I forgot that it was a 2-week break, to be quite honest with you. But I honestly believe a really wet or changeable race is our best chance of having the championship spiced up a little bit. Giving Hamilton Rosberg the battle for the championship a bit of a spicy finish to it in Abu Dhabi.
Stick a bit of fire under it.
So yeah, basically, today's Monday. For the rest of the week, you're looking at thunderstorms and a 90% chance of rain. Right up until you get to Friday, when you've got not just a risk of thunderstorm.
Yeah.
That's what's forecast on Friday. At the moment, of course, we know weather is not accurate unless it's about 2 days beforehand. Saturday, showers, 50% of rain. Sunday, showers, 70% of rain. Now, showers arguably is better than constant rain.
Yeah.
Because it dries up, it gets wet again. It dries up, it gets wet again. You just don't know what's going to happen at all. Was it when Button won in 2009 as well? That was a wet to dry race, wasn't it? It started off wet and then it got drier as the race went
Hamilton
on.
crashed into Hulkenberg, didn't he?
He did, yes. Yeah, so, it's also a race Lewis Hamilton has never won. He's never won at Interlagos despite racing there. This will be his 10th Grand Prix at Interlagos. He's never actually won there.
Yeah, there's not many races he's had 10 goes out without winning one of them.
I don't think there is, no. When he won at Mexico, was that something like the 23rd different circuit he'd won at? But
something daft like that.
He has never won at Interlagos, which he's been at every year. So, basically, Nico Rosberg wins in Interlagos. He is world champion. Because the gap will be 26 points with only 25 on the table.
Red Bull are going to be strong there as well, aren't they?
I was going to say, I actually favour Red Bull in cooler conditions at Interlagos as well. More so over Mercedes. This is where Red Bull are going to be super strong. That middle sector, as anyone who's been playing Formula Lee will know,
is Red Bull's tackle.
That's Red Bull's all the way. The only thing Red Bull got to worry about is that long
push
straight
up the
from
hill, straight,
from that last corner, Junção, down to the first turn, through the ZRSs. They'll probably be pretty strong through there. And then that short straight up to the middle sector again.
I mean, the thing is, it's as we saw when we saw Lewis following Verstappen, it's in Suzuka, the coming out of that corner to go up the hill. I'd imagine, in my professional opinion as a painter and decorator, that
the Red Bull look nice artwork wise behind.
But it's all traction in it to
Yeah.
push her up the hill. Red Bull's got great traction.
Red Bull's got great traction, an awesome aero package, and that Renault engine has become so much. Sorry, that Tag Heuer engine has become so much stronger.
But the thing I'm thinking
on.
is, if they've got really good traction out of that corner going up the hill,
Does that new Clio have a Mag Heuer engine? I'll get me shorts.
Lee might have had enough. Carry on.
if it's got a good traction pushing up the hill, then that big straight might not be as big of a problem as it should be.
We know how terrible the Mercedes cars are at following, and you don't pass at Brazil unless you're following closely.
Yeah.
I actually think this is Red Bull's one and only chance to be well on top of Mercedes.
I don't know. Don't forget.
All weekend.
Don't forget the they pretty much own fucking Abu Dhabi as well.
The last sector, yeah, but
but historically speaking, Red Bull have been amazingly strong around Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, they have. That'd be an interesting one to see. But I want to see the championship battle go to a last race at Abu Dhabi.
I think it will do. I don't think Rosberg's going to be able to win the race because, we'll see, won't we? We'll see whether last week was a blip or the pressure's getting to him.
Yeah,
and we'll tell.
He has actually
Saturday.
said, Nico Rosberg's actually said that the he struggled with tyre temperatures and a couple of what else is it he said he struggled with? Tyre temperatures and something else.
Setup. Nicky Lauda said that he just couldn't get the car set up. I read that as over driving.
Yeah, I do. Is the pressure getting to Nico Rosberg? But even though he's called that a unique incident, is the pressure starting to get to him?
His vagina is well and truly ruffled.
the thing is, there will come a point, and I don't care when it is. Okay, we've spoken about how punctual and Rosberg's been taking one race at a time, which is the champion's way of doing things. Let's be honest, that's one race at a time. I'm doing this race, and then I'm doing this race, and then I'm doing this race. I'm not thinking about the next race. I'm not thinking about the championship. I'm thinking about each race at a time. And he's thinking about Brazil. Okay, he's thinking about at some point during Brazil, something will slip into his mind about the championship.
Yeah.
If not at Brazil, and it goes on to Abu Dhabi, it will at some point enter his mind.
Yeah.
If it hasn't already, it may have done at Mexico. It might have done at the Circuit of the Americas. We don't know. But he'll be driving, and his brain will go, championship, Nico, championship.
Yeah. Well, where is the more pressure? Is the more pressure for someone that has a slight chance of winning the championship, or is the pressure on the guy that has every chance of losing the championship? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's easier.
There's pressure on Lewis Hamilton as well.
Yeah, he's got to perform, but it's easier for Lewis to accidentally win the championship.
Yeah.
Than it is for Nico Rosberg to win it.
To
lose it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's easier for Lewis Hamilton to Kimi it.
Yeah, I should say it's easier for Rosberg to lose it than it is for Hamilton to win.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean there were 2 races to go, and with 2 races to go in 2007, Kimi was 17 points behind with 20 on the table, and he won it. So that would be the essentially 42 points behind with 50 on the table as there is now.
Yeah.
The gap's only 19 points. So
all it takes is one DNF. One DNF.
All Hamilton has said all along is, all I got to do is history's on my side. It's very rarely does the man who's out in front, does the pressure not get to him at some point. I'm not saying he's not going to win the title, but the pressure will get to him.
I don't forget as well, I say DNF, doesn't even really need to be a DNF. It takes 1/5.
Yeah, that's it.
Or even a 4th, but a 5th would really
tight?
set him out. So the cat amongst
let's say
hamsters.
Which year was it? Was it 2012? Brazil, when they did their formation lap, and it absolutely bucketed it down whilst they were on their formation lap on slicks.
Yeah.
And everyone binned it into the first corner. They were like, right, red flag this, but luckily most cars managed to start again. 2012, 2013, can't remember which one it was. And if it's a tight turn into that turn
first corner as well.
It's so tight.
All it takes is fucking Max Verstappen
from behind. Smack.
Yeah.
Anyone from behind. It's a wet.
I mean, obviously that goes for Lewis as well. Someone takes Lewis out, championship's done.
Yeah. Unless, of course, you get a Rosberg Hamilton double DNF, which I don't. Again, it's a tight squeeze, that turn 1. It's possible.
I tell you what,
you get more years with somebody going out at turn 1 there than you don't.
Yeah. Somebody goes out at turn 1. David Coulthard
in his last race when he got the charity livery on the car, making a huge fuss about it all weekend, and can't wait to set the checkered flag and the whole world will see my charity foundation, and he was backwards by the first S.
Yeah. Me and my brother made a joke about Coulthard would be running, similar to how I do the Hulk running 5th thing. Coulthard will be running 8th in that Red Bull at some point, and I think he retired from 8th in that race. So I mean, a poor qualifying on Saturday for either driver, and it really spices it up going into Sunday. I'm not necessarily saying I want the gap to be overhauled, or I just don't want it to end on Sunday.
Yeah,
I'd like to see it go to.
Tell you what.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'm going to throw a prediction out there now. Not for how somebody will do in qualifying, but
Red Bull 1-2.
No, if something happens, if Rosberg has a good qualifying session and Lewis has a bad one, Lewis will say the championship is decided on Sundays, not Saturdays.
Yeah. That's
and to be honest, you could say that for either Mercedes driver. If one of them qualifies well and the other one qualifies badly, the quote from the badly qualified driver will be the championship's won on Sundays, not Saturdays.
Yeah, see, quite possibly.
The thing you've got to think is as well, if Rosberg had a strange start last week
at Mexico.
At Mexico, because he tried to hang it out with Hamilton for something that wasn't going to happen, and he ended up losing the spot. But he got back. So
everybody's made a huge thing over Lewis Hamilton cutting that first corner and not getting a penalty for it. Rosberg cut the second corner.
I think the people that are giving Hamilton a hard time for it are the people that just don't like Hamilton.
Yeah, they want him to lose. I mean,
and to be perfectly honest,
we don't like Rosberg, but it's not because we're particular Hamilton fans.
It's because he's a twat.
Yeah, I mean, given the choice of Rosberg and anyone else, you go for anyone else.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like we've only got one option.
Wingy Seb?
Oh, Wingy Seb.
I'd take Wingy Seb over Smug Rosberg.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, if he does something like that again, and Lewis can hang him out on that, like going into turn one, he's going to lose some places, and he's not going to get those back by the next corner.
No.
But again, I wouldn't put it past. I don't think he'll just turn into him, like as in a Schumacher thing.
Like Rosberg style.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put it past Rosberg to not have an accident.
Yeah, I'm thinking Monza, after the Belgium incident, Nico's hit me.
Yeah.
The Monza after, Nico outbraked himself like 3 or 4 times. You can't afford to do that in Brazil. Do that at that end of that straight and you're off the first turn. You can't rejoin.
I still believe that was a punishment from Mercedes.
Do you think?
I think he was told to throw that race.
Maybe.
For what he did.
You and your tinfoil.
No, I don't believe that you'd lock up like that, because each time he locked up when Hamilton went past, it was such a controlled lock up, hardly any tyre smoke. Drove nicely through the bollard and then just rejoined the circuit. I don't believe that. It's especially that corner, because you come into it so fucking hot into that chicane that when people lock up going into that, there's fucking smoke everywhere. There's flat spots ahoy. I believe he was told there, you owe Lewis a race.
Yeah. And he decided to give it back at the next one.
No, I think he was told.
I think he was told.
Yeah.
So that's as far as the championship goes. Should we go team by team by team?
Team by team by team. We'll go from the back of the grid, or the back of the championship as always. Sauber. NASA's got a lot to prove. It's his home race.
It is.
It's where his sponsors are.
Banco do Brasil.
Sauber car is decked out in the Banco do Brasil colours. They have to have a good showing in front of the people that are effectively funding 50% of the team.
Yeah, but that car's going to be a fucking dog.
Yeah, and it's just not going to happen.
And this is the other Brazilian, Felipe's Massa's last race.
But we'll get to Williams
way
forward.
So NASA's going to be the if he stays in Formula 1, the Brazilian poster boy.
Brazilian representative.
Brazil.
How can you have a poster of somebody so anonymous in such an anonymous team?
Exactly.
It's like Predator in cloak mode being the poster boy for anything.
3 dots.
Yeah, that's it. Sauber are the Predator team, because you don't get to see them, and you always get told they're around here somewhere.
And you might occasionally see them out the corner of your eye if you're watching really carefully.
Now and again they'll try and mimic another Formula 1 team.
It's going to be more of the same from Sauber.
Yeah.
We've seen them close to the points for the last couple of races.
This is their best chance.
Yeah, but I mean, they didn't. Where did Ericsson finish in the end? Was he 15th or 16th or something?
Yeah,
anonymously. He was up there in the points because stuff hadn't happened.
Why don't I look at last week's show notes? Yeah. Ericsson was actually 11th.
Yeah. I was going to say, I thought it was quite
close. But at the end of the race?
Yeah. He was one place outside. If he finished in the points, they would have jumped Manor.
Yeah.
Ha
This is their best chance.
This is their best chance for points, because
perhaps their only chance.
Because it's the best chance of 22 cars not finishing.
Might be the best chance of points for the next 2 years.
Yeah, might well be.
Yeah, until they've got an up-to-date engine again and an aero package, rather than one or the other.
Yep.
Who's going to do best? I really don't know, because
I don't care.
Out of Ericsson and NASA?
Yeah.
Ericsson. Ericsson will outperform NASA in Brazil.
It's like picking which one of Jedward has a car crash. I just can't choose.
Trump or Clinton? We've done that.
We've already done that one tonight.
To death. Which is what they're going to do.
Yeah, one of the Saubers will finish higher than the other Sauber. How about that?
I don't know. They might take each other out at the same time.
Yeah, but there'll still be a list of where people retired, and one of them will be further up than the other one.
Default.
The 2 sweetest words in the English language.
Default.
That's the second time tonight we've referenced that Simpsons episode. Yeah, I'm going to say Ericsson and Nasser will be embarrassed in front of his home crowd and sponsors.
Maybe it was another one of the times where the Simpsons were predicting the future, and we weren't referencing the Simpsons episode. They were referencing us.
Yes.
I'm going for a line down. Manor next.
Interesting.
There's some straights for the car to be a rocket on.
Yeah, but there's that twisty section we were talking about before. That very
where they
twisty.
will
The
lose.
rest of the track.
Yeah,
Where
they-
turn 3 joins the last corner. You know what I mean? Like,
they will lose.
You've got turn 1, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, a little bit straight, and then turn 4, all of the twists, and then straight again.
Yeah, any time that the Manors make up on the straights, they're gonna lose in the twisty
Do
sections.
you think Brazil?
They'll be behind Sauber this weekend, I think.
Do you think Brazil is where the corners that should be on the old Hockenheim circuit live?
What, they just moved the corners to Brazil?
Yeah, they went in like they're asylum seeking corners.
Yeah, the Ost curve is actually Jun Cow in disguise.
I think Ocon's going to do the better out of the two Manor drivers though this weekend.
Yeah, why
yeah.
not?
Hard to say, but if he's driving for a higher seat further up the grid next year, then
He's got
yeah,
something to
why-
prove, and
Yeah, exactly. Got something to
for.
prove. Why not? If Verline's staying put, then he doesn't have to put 110%
And
in.
if he's not getting a sniff at a better seat for next year, his head might be a bit down as well.
Yeah, exactly. Or he may already be focused on finishing this year and just looking to next year.
Well, let's face it, when everybody, including Jolyon Palmer and Felipe Nasser and Ericsson, are linked with better teams, and your name hasn't been fucking mentioned, not gonna be too happy, are you?
Not really, no, and especially when he was, he's the next big thing for Mercedes,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, he's kind of swapped for an engine,
Yeah, so
which is effectively what they've done.
That's exactly what they've done.
Yeah, so I think Ocon's got something to prove, and he will be the better of the two.
yeah.
Renault.
I think he'll go back to making yogurt.
That's Ocon.
Oh damn it!
Not where you live.
Oh damn it!
Yeah, you got Danon out of that.
Oh!
Product placement.
Got
Anyway,
mullered.
Run out of milk-based jokes.
Yeah, we are lacticking in those.
Oh, that's a bit gross.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah. We'll continue. We'll move from we'll go from milk to a banana stuck in a wall. Renault.
Yes.
Palmer's been better.
Palmer better
late.
than Magnussen.
I think Palmer would be, yeah.
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 I think he's I don't know
Keep the
why,
faith,
I don't know
brother,
what
keep the
he's
faith.
driving for, but he's driving for something.
Yeah.
I mean, Magnussen, as it's come out this week, he's going to be with the team next season because he's been talking to Haas. Renault don't mind him talking to Haas. They've released the car. He's going to be on the grid in either a yellow car or a red, white, and grey car next season, I reckon. Palmer, future's not certain. Still got a chance to put in performances, and unlike K-Mag, he hasn't put any deadlines on.
No.
I'll
when
tell
you,
you what,
when
if-
you need to give him a job
If
by.
Palmer brings home some big points and it's with potential weather and the nature of the circuit and it being a very short lap, etc., etc. If Palmer brings home a big haul of points, that speaks volumes. I think.
Yeah.
It's the sort of the development that he's made through the season. He was so far away from doing anything in the first half of the season, but the second half of the season,
there was talk, especially after Monaco. Would he actually still be in the car by this time?
yeah, that's it. I mean, and he is, and rightfully so, because he's since mid-season his drives have got better. Now he's outperforming his teammate.
I just thought then, the Haas having talks with K-Mag, last time they hired a overrated driver from the Enstone team, worked out champion, didn't it?
Maybe some of the talks I'm having with K-Mag is, yeah, you can drive for us, just don't slag off the car.
Yeah.
Which Haas are actually up next. What does Gutierrez have to do to score a point?
Be good.
Well, finish in the top 10. I understand that much, but
Formula E.
Gutierrez is the reason we call 11th place being Gutierrez. Again, similar situation to Renault. It's the best chance they've got of a decent, good haul of points. They've moved backwards a little bit as the season's gone on. I think, was it last week's podcast, Paul, where you said that they've had a reverse first season where they started off with points and
started off strong, and then it's they've kind of unbuilt themselves.
Yeah.
Gutierrez or Ericsson? Which is the worst driver in Formula One?
Gutierrez.
Yeah, I think it's Gutierrez.
Ericsson at least has shown that he's capable previously of actually learning during the season and putting better results together towards the end.
Wakes up with 5 races to go.
Yeah, Gutierrez is just constantly off the pace.
He's got a much better hair game as well, hasn't
Ericsson.
he? Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like he could be in a L'Oreal advert or something.
He's got a pretty good hair game.
Not up to Manor hair. Both Manor drivers.
Both Manor drivers.
No, both
Never see a hair out of place.
immaculate.
Hair by Lego.
Yeah, Pascal Wehrlein, when he removes that helmet.
Yeah,
and he
volume.
How?
Oh.
Good lord, VO5.
Yeah, that's the sort of volume that you're washing, you're conditioning, and then you're shampooing again to get rid of some of the conditioner.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But you're using the expensive post-conditioner shampoo as well.
Yeah.
Hey, you're not dealing with amateurs here, Chris. You know,
No.
me and Lee, we know our hair products.
I used to have really long hair as well, remember?
Yeah, but how immaculate was it?
Oh,
No, look at that fringe. Flood handles a pretty mean hair game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, now I've got a product in my hair because it's short and doesn't know what to do with itself unless I don't. But when I had really long hair, it was washed and conditioned and blow dried.
Oh yeah. I mean, since I started going grey, I've had to move on to frizzies because the grey hairs are coming out curly. It sucks getting old.
Well, when I went all cool and dyed my hair black, I had a big white splodge in the side of it. The white splodge turned into white candy floss.
Oops.
I do know somebody that once bleached his hair and went swimming the day after. That didn't go well.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. nice shade of green in patches all over the place.
Dan, of course, hasn't really got a hair game, does he?
No.
Yeah, he does. He just keeps it short.
Yeah, there's a large group of people that keep their hair short as well.
Bald people.
No. They generally don't like colours.
Oh, you're thinking of the neo-Nazis?
Yeah.
Of which Dan isn't one.
Wait, I didn't say that, Paul. And I will not have my name dragged into this argument yet again.
That, for the purposes of those who are not aware, Dan is not racist.
But yeah, Haas. Moving back to Haas.
I think
Hair products aside, it's I don't know, because
poor race. I think, and the only chance they're going to get a point is multiple retirements.
the problem for Grosjean is that heavy braking going into the first corner.
Braking.
Well, yeah, any braking going into any corner.
Yeah.
But there's particularly at the end of the straight, you're flat out top gear, and you've really got to slam the anchors on.
Yeah.
To make turn one.
Well, they are testing new brake stuff though, aren't they, in FP1?
Yes.
They're going back to normal brake stuff for not the Biscuit song. For
They tried that last week though.
No, they're saying it was in Brazil.
I'm
announced in
sure they
Mexico
tried a
they were
new
doing it in
brake.
Brazil.
I'm sure they tried new brake material last week as well.
I thought they'd announced they were doing it in Brazil.
Because I remember that because it was only the day before they said that they weren't going to do anything with the brakes because it wasn't worth it at this point of the season, and I'm sure somebody's had a word in the shell about that.
Yeah,
Now,
you've got to give the drivers the confidence to stop the car when they want it to stop.
Yeah, now you're saying somebody coming up at speed from behind after the start into the first corner and causing an accident. It could be a Haas with no choice.
Yeah, he's not going to be anywhere near the fucking Mercedes though, is he?
No, but don't forget the entire field's going to bunch up, concertina effect and multiple bumps.
It's not going to concertina up that much. Christ almighty, they'll be a week behind usually, I'd imagine there.
Next Sunday.
Yeah.
Like the Sunday after the race.
The only chance is if he's getting lapped.
I don't know. Wet qualifying, out of position grid.
Yeah, but they're still going to be at the back of an out of position grid.
Yeah, I mean, I like what Haas have been doing. They've got the right work ethic, but they have lost the development race.
No, I don't think even they've lost the race, to be perfectly honest. I think the fact they came in punching above their weight and they've had to turn attention to next year pretty early.
Yeah, quite possibly, but that's what I'm saying. You know, with this year, they've lost the development race.
Don't
see
forget,
where they are next year.
large portions of that car is a fucking Ferrari, and they're not allowed to do that next year.
Yeah, we'll see where they are next year.
Yeah, it'd just be interesting to see if they can actually get into the first corner without the brakes going AWOL on the cars.
Oh, it won't happen in the first corner. Second.
Grosjean to do better if the brakes survive.
Yeah, I go with that.
That's fair enough.
But I think you'll find a Grosjean DNF.
Because the brakes won't survive.
Yeah.
Either is equally likely. Toro Rosso. Yeah.
This is a good chance for them to do well because it's not really a power hungry
I'd have thought so. Yeah, I think they've got a points chance.
Yeah.
Toro Rosso are going to be the opposite of the Manners. Because what they'll lose on the straights, they will get in the twisty sections.
Yeah, but they might lose a massive chunk on the straights. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's going up that hill as well because it's not like we're talking about Red Bull might struggle with the hill with this year's Renault.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about a fucking pretty long in the tooth Ferrari engine now.
Yeah, nearly 2 years old.
Grandpapa Ferrari.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a tough one. I mean, I would say that.
With this engine, you're really spoiling us.
I would say that Carlos Sainz would outperform Danny Kvyat, although Kvyat's proven me wrong in the last few races. So
I still don't think he's done enough to keep that seat. I know he's got it, but I don't think he did enough to keep it.
I just think Red Bull don't have anyone better.
We're back to default because they don't think Gasly's up there.
Ran out of drivers.
Yeah,
that's it. That's exactly what happened.
Literally ran out of talent.
But I think we've...
every other driver on the programme is too young to get a super licence.
Yeah, they turn around and go, what about him? No, we can't put him in the car, Christian, because we'd have to put fucking baby formula in his drinks bottle.
Yeah, that's it. Jerry hasn't given birth yet.
We can't have a driver that refers to the drinks bottle as a bar.
Press the bitty button.
Yeah, I did see something quite funny actually with Danny Kvyat, and they said they told me to drive more like Max. So what was I doing wrong in Russia?
Did he really say that?
No, he hasn't said it, but it was just like a meme. That one of the F1 sites they put. They told me to drive more like Max, with Max being a bit pushy.
It's still not as good as the Red Bull did a whole driver thing with all the Red Bull drivers.
Yeah.
They went clay pigeon shooting.
Yeah.
And Max Kvyat picked the gun up, and Max says, "I'm really sorry about your drive."
Quick thinking.
I thought it was fucking hilarious. That's when I started thinking, actually, maybe he's not a funny looking robot.
Yeah.
Talking of Red Bull drivers that have been chucked through the meat grinder, spat out the other side, although one of them technically isn't a driver. Scott Speed sighting.
The fucking lesser spotted Speed.
Yes. He's taking part for Team America, World Police, in the Race of Champions.
Fuck yeah.
If that's not their theme tune, there's something horrifically wrong with can we play out the podcast with that tonight?
Oh, let's make Scott Speed great again.
Oh, come on. The impossible we can do. Miracles take a bit longer. Yeah. Scott Speed will...
Reality TV star. Scott Speed.
Yeah. Scott Speed and Xander Rossi are going to be the American team in the Race of Champions. I read that today and couldn't believe it. You know, the other drivers that are taking part...
It's Race of Champions.
Yeah, other drivers that are taking part. Fernando Alonso.
Champion.
Jenson Button.
Champion.
Mick Doohan.
Champion.
David Coulthard.
No.
Scottish.
Jeff Gordon.
Champion. Why isn't Jeff Gordon in Team America?
God knows. I think they've got two American teams. Marcus Gronholm.
Champion.
Roman Grosjean,
French.
GP2 champion.
GP2 champion.
French.
Who else have we got? Nico Hulkenberg.
GP2 champion.
Yeah.
Fucking
Le
Le Mans
24
winner on
hours.
his own.
Yeah.
Ryan Hunter-Reay, Tony Kanaan, champions.
No idea
Again,
who they are.
both-
IndyCar.
Both Americans.
No, Tony Kanaan's
Have they
Brazilian.
done? Have they done anything like?
I didn't know Tony Kanaan was Brazilian.
Yeah.
I thought he was American.
Paul,
No.
have they done anything like in a professional series?
Ooh. Turned right once. Tom Christensen, he's in it as well. Sebastian Loeb.
Definitely a champion.
The whole country's going to turn right soon. Carry on.
Oh.
Juan Pablo Montoya.
Champion.
Jorge Lorenzo.
Champion.
Julian Palmer.
English.
Champion.
Travis Pastrana.
Sounds like a dish.
Red
Like
Bull
food.
Red Bull owned stunt driver that does.
That beat Colin McRae in a super stage rally.
Yeah.
He's not a champion, but he's gnarly.
Yeah.
Nelson Piquet Jr.
Oh.
Cheat. Oh
Yeah.
no, he Formula E champion.
Oh, Alan Prost.
Alan Prost.
Alan Prost.
Definitely a champion.
Valentino Rossi.
Champion.
Yeah, so
All of the champion.
So why is Scott Speed there?
why is Scott Speed there? Maybe he's the of. You've got a race, then you've got some of, and then you've got some champions.
Yes. Quite possibly. But the
That is the most media coverage that Scott Speed has had.
ever.
Ever.
Since
So
he-
sorry, we were talking about Toro Rosso
We
before
were.
we got onto the race of champions, but Toro Rosso, I expect back end of points, both cars, and I cannot pick a driver as to which one will do better. I have previously said Sainz, so I'll stick with Sainz. Excuse me.
Sainz is a better driver. I
Yeah.
feel if Kvyat beats him, it's because of luck or shenanigans. Something's gone on.
Yeah, for me, Sainz. Kvyat's improved.
Again, excellent hair game.
Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
Good lord, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cap hair.
I'd argue maybe the best hair game on the grid.
Esteban Ocon and Pascal Wehrlein do have great hair.
But if you're going for, it's not just
As does former Manor director Graham Loudon.
yeah,
He's
but
good hair.
I think what they've gained in volume, he's made up in like coolness. It's not. Whereas Pascal Wehrlein, not Pascal Wehrlein, sorry,
Ocon.
Esteban Ocon, fabulous hair in 1985. It's the for
A little bit
current
Miami Vice.
yeah. So he loses points for that, for the Don Johnson effect.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, we'll give you that. Sainz for me anyway.
Yeah.
McLaren.
That chassis probably not as good as we thought it was.
Well, we'll see here. He is definitely a chassis circuit.
Well, yeah, we've said that a couple of times before, and they failed.
It's not really
Failed.
been. Yeah.
Dennis out.
For McLaren to score points, it has to be because faster cars ahead of them
Yeah.
are out.
Strange thing is, they seem to be qualifying above where they should be now.
Yeah, they qualify well, and then
Yeah.
if they don't qualify well, they always have a really good first lap,
Yeah.
and then a rubbish race.
And Jensen's been putting some good race performances in.
Yeah.
How he managed to get ahead of Alonso in the last race.
I know, yeah,
It's just
crazy. But I think, again, it depends on the weather for qualifying on Saturday. You could end up with a similar thing to Austria, where you end up with Jensen Button on the front bloody row of the grid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like when you end up with penalties and whatever else has gone on with the weather, Jensen Button was on the front row of the grid.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's still got the hangover from the party afterwards.
Still got the semi.
With the only way that we'll see a good McLaren performance this weekend is if it throws it down from Friday to Sunday.
Yeah, I mean they are capable of a good performance, and both drivers do like this circuit.
Yeah.
They've both won world championships.
Be
at this
interesting if it
circuit.
rains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've both won world championships at this circuit,
Mm-hmm.
and so fond memories tend to push hard. This is the place last year, of course.
I don't know. I think that one that Alonso list might have
The
a loss.
2007,
Yeah, that.
The
That might
both
stick.
fond memories of the two of them jumping up on the podium last year, and also Alonso. This was the place where Alonso was places Alonso would rather be. # started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he was having a good old sunbathe.
He's having a siesta.
He's having a siesta. Wasn't
Exactly.
He was. Yeah. He knew he was on camera. He didn't give. He didn't just
No.
not give a fuck.
But it's going to take a lot for a good McLaren showing this weekend, I think.
Yeah. Who do you think for drivers?
I'm gonna say Alonso over Jensen, marginally.
Yeah, they're going to be close. I think they're going to be one behind the other, and Alonso will be the one in front.
I'm going to go against my hair game thing here. And I'm going to, because I think Alonso's got better hair game than Jensen.
Well, he has.
Yeah,
He's got almost Carlos Sainz level of hair.
So, but I'm gonna go Jensen, and I think he'll score a point or two.
Jensen point.
Yeah.
Ooh. Williams. Felipe Massa's last Brazilian Grand Prix.
Rubbish hair game. I don't care.
And yeah, same with Bottas. Awful hair.
Yeah. He looks like a fucking blonde tennis ball.
No, he looks like a pumpkin. It's been carved slightly incorrectly.
He does look like a pumpkin, doesn't he?
I think Valtteri Bottas, point scorer. Felipe Massa, I would be only shaking his head.
No, he's just whipping his hair back and forth.
Massa's more of a drop pumpkin.
Oh no!
Yeah. We've been saying all sort of half the season since Massa announced his retirement that he's saving himself for Brazil. He's just going to have a bad one again.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I can't see Massa doing anything this weekend.
If you watch now, we're going bloody get a podium
Yeah.
because everyone else forgot to turn up.
Yeah, when's he going to get a podium? Monday?
Isn't that how Fisichella won it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say Bottas over Massa, and Bottas to score quite highly in the points, I think, as well. Keep that pressure on Force India.
I don't think Williams would get points here in the race. I think
No.
they're really going to struggle.
I think we'll see Bottas round about 7th or 8th.
I think there's going to be teams with better cars there. Force India, McLaren might be able to score points.
Toro Rosso.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of cars there trying to score points.
22 of them.
Yeah.
Well, 20 and 2 Saubers. Force India are up next. They've still
19,
yeah, right.
2 Saubers and Gutierrez.
Yeah. He tries to score points. He's just not very good at it.
Just to right, look, we've all spoke. All the drivers have said you can start on pole, and you can start minus 3 laps as he rolls in 13th.
I mean, don't forget, I've been trying to beat you at any video game since 2001, and I'm not very good at that.
Yeah, well, we've all got to aspire for things.
But Force India.
I still beat you at single players. Carry on.
No. Force India, they've still got the 9-point advantage over Williams. They've got every chance of extending that this weekend, to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Perez, I expect a very strong performance from him.
Why?
It's a good circuit for him. He likes.
Yeah, but he hasn't been performing of late.
No, he is not. He didn't perform very well in Mexico either, did he?
No. Seems like he's a little bit upset by what's gone on with his drive and future, maybe.
Yeah, and who his teammate might be for next year.
Who knows what is this an indication of what he wanted to do and what his sponsors wanted him to do?
Maybe, who knows? Perhaps,
Maybe.
quite possibly. Nico Hulkenberg's been driving quite well. Better than Perez actually lately.
Yeah.
Although I'm going to go against the grain and say Perez to outscore Hulk.
I'm gonna go Hulk because he's fucking.
I'm talking like a 5th, 6th place here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Hulk. Going back to my formula of drivers, with the fact that he's got very good hair.
He doesn't have good hair. Perez hasn't got shit hair though.
No, but out of the two of them, Hulk's
got pretty good hair. You know,
he's got that sort of hair that looks like it's styled, but you know he wakes up, jumps in the shower, and then comes out and dry it.
Does that?
And it
ruffles
just
his
does
hair.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, puts his fingers through his hair and that's it. It's done.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Hulk because I think he's more on form than Perez is at the moment.
And you like his hair.
Yeah, right. But Force India to increase the gap over Williams, definitely.
Yeah.
Fourth place is as good as theirs. Ferrari.
I think we might. Terrible thing to say. It's going to go one or two ways for Ferrari. They're either going to be up there fighting for the win, or they're going to just be nowhere. And I think they're going to be nowhere.
I think they'll probably have a good car. I don't think they'll do anything with it.
Yeah.
Again, not much in the way of hair either.
I think
Vettel quite boring with hair. Kimi, never know. He always wears a cap.
Yeah.
well, he's not bothered, is it?
That's actually his scalp.
The Ferrari cap is a scalp.
Interesting bone structure. But I think Ferrari will somehow contrive a way to screw things up for themselves again.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll find some way of doing it.
I think it's
Either that or they'll
it's
come.
it's that new clothing deal they've got with the shoes with the targets on them.
Either that or they'll come really, really close to winning a race.
I don't know. You say that like there's no half measures with Ferrari, but
No, there isn't.
they're in that much turmoil that a half-assed job is probably the best job they can do at the moment because nobody knows what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, they had a card to do better with than they did last weekend. They're going to come with a point to prove as well, especially Sebastian after getting on the podium, then off of the podium. So yeah, I know. I don't know. I
haven't said that.
Who knows?
I actually strongly believe that Red Bull have a very good chance of winning this race, and we saw Sebastian Vettel fighting very fairly with the Red Bulls towards the end of the race in Mexico. That's the reason I think Ferrari may have a chance of winning, but my gut tells me that they're gonna be possibly even struggling for points.
But they need to fix their qualifying. That's what fucked them up in Mexico.
They use the wrong tyres.
Well, yeah, but it's just more fucking Ferrari fuckery, innit?
Yeah.
There's a lot of fucks there.
Yeah, fuckloads.
Yeah.
A metric fuck ton. Thank you, Michael Cohen.
Yeah.
Ferrari's best
Don't
chance.
thank him. That's my line. He stole it off me.
Did he?
Yeah.
No, well, he sent it to us anyway.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Thank you, Lee.
It's okay.
Best chance for Ferrari in qualifying is the great leveler where everyone is on the same tyres, be they wet or intermediates.
Yeah.
In which case, expect Kimi to almost stick it on pole.
Yeah. There's just it's just like watching Jerry Springer or Jeremy Kyle with Ferrari this season. Totally dysfunctional.
I think it's more like watching the management on Jerry Springer, but the drivers are on Jeremy Kyle.
I don't know. There's usually about the same amount of swearing on both shows.
Yeah.
It's like watching scat porn. Because at first... No.
Yes.
At
Yes.
first-
Yes.
At first, everything looks normal. No, it's fine.
No. Like. Yeah,
At first,
we know where
everything looks
you're going
normal.
with this.
Everything looks normal at first.
And then there's a lot of shit.
Yes.
Oh, thank God for that little E symbol on iTunes. Yeah, I don't know. Ferrari will just find a way to screw themselves over this weekend again.
Yeah.
They will blame everybody.
2 drivers, 1 cup.
None of them are going to be lifting it at the end of the race.
Yeah, they will. Everyone in the team will find a way to blame somebody else in a different team for what's gone wrong. It's just,
And I expect Seb to
Got rid of that
implode
season.
if Kimi gets a sniff of a win.
Oh,
Could you imagine it? It would be beautiful.
if Kimi's following Max, and then Max makes a mistake and gives the place to Kimi, and it's Kimi's win.
Oh. Hilarious.
Lee, we've just seen a face that only your girlfriend should see.
Oh.
To be fair, I would be very happy if Kimi Räikkönen won the race.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Will it happen?
No.
Unlikely.
No.
Unlikely. It is unlikely.
Who do we think is going to do the best out of them, though?
Kimi, for me.
Kimi, yeah.
Yeah. Got to say, I definitely agree with you on that. On to Red Bull. where do you start with what drivers thinking and feeling what at the moment after Mexico?
Well, although not what you call classically good hair, Daniel Ricciardo has he's got the hair that sort of suits his head.
Yeah, he's got good hair, whereas Max Verstappen looks like he's getting ready for a school.
Yeah, and his mum's licked his fringe down.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm going to go Danny.
I think Daniel Ricciardo is going to be quite buoyed by the fact that he eventually got that third place in Mexico.
I like the private podium ceremony that he had with the team.
He did
when they got the trophy to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went. It was dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had a podium ceremony all by himself. And the
do you know what? It was probably less fucking strained than his podiums usually are.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, without having to deal with the two Mercedes drivers, but the Max is young enough and still reckless enough to just get over a disappointment like Mexico very, very quickly. Throw it away straight away and just be like, well, I'll just crack on.
I mean, this is a positive as well. I don't mean this to sound negative. He's also arrogant enough to just go, this wasn't my fucking fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The transcripts of the conversation that we saw, which Jos posted up, not Jos Verstappen, Jos Vanderbilt, is it?
Yeah.
Posted up on our Three Legs Four Wheels Facebook page, actually gave us a true insight into what happened between Max and Red Bull at the end of the Mexican Grand Prix. Now, we didn't read these transcripts until after last week's podcast. And to be honest, it just goes to prove more of what we've been saying about the creative editing of the team radio.
Yeah.
And how it's almost like a soap opera editor is in charge of what gets broadcast from the team radios.
Yeah, because I mean, what we heard on what are you doing? What we heard on the world feed was Max being told give the place back.
Yeah, and then there was a whole conflab after that.
But what he was actually told was, okay, give the position. I think you're going to have to give the position back.
Yeah.
We didn't get the last part of that, and there was no actual instruction to give the place up, and it was with Charlie Whiting and the stewards.
Yeah.
He
was told to stay in third place, I think, is the pivotal part of that conversation. Yeah. The team, we weren't broadcast that. That only came to light when we read those transcripts.
Yeah, because the only other things that we heard were all of Vettel's complaints during and after the race. We didn't hear anything else of what was said to Verstappen, and nothing else of what was told to Ricciardo.
No.
Who was told to stay within 5 seconds of Vettel after the braking.
That's it, yeah.
Because there might be a penalty for Vettel as well.
Except Ricciardo completely destroyed his tyres under that move. So
yeah.
I think he ended up finishing about 2.7 seconds behind.
It was about that.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe us included, but everyone was a little bit unfair on Verstappen after the race because we didn't have the full story straight away.
No, we didn't, and we didn't. Let's be honest, we didn't get the full story until Jos gave us that transcript. No major media outlet gave us the transcript or the full team radio, as far as I'm aware, until Jos, who I'm guessing is Dutch, posted that up on our Three Legs Four Wheels Facebook page.
Yeah, he sent an email through saying, I've got to stick up for my fellow countryman Max. One thing you guys didn't take into account, Max received a message from the pits that he had to defend his third place and that the decision would follow after the race. Which is fair enough. I mean, this all came to light after we recorded last week.
It did.
And let me just find another email from...
Well, don't get me wrong, I'm always happy to be proven wrong when it comes to stuff like this as well.
Peter Cousins, thank you for putting the English translation of your surname, Peter, because I really... Yes. Cousins.
Yeah.
That's how he signed it, Peter Cousins. Of course, I'm super biased because I'm Dutch, and I have to say something regarding the comments made about Max. First of all, he wasn't told to give the position back. If you listen to the team radio closely, they say keep the position, but you may have to give it back. Basically, yeah, it's FOM with the world feed making a story and making a completely different story to what's actually going on.
Yeah, this is like I said, it's creative editing, isn't it, that goes on behind the scenes. But it's unfortunate for Max. I still think, like Lee said before, he's arrogant enough to just put this behind him and just think none of this is my fault and just crack on.
Arrogant enough, or just young and confident?
Yeah, young and confident and a little
cocky.
Bit arrogant. Cocky, yeah, fair enough. We'll go with cocky.
Mm.
Arrogant, perhaps not the right word, but I still quite like Max Verstappen. He's done very, very well in the short time in Formula One, and he's got he's still got a lot to go, a lot to come his way. I think him and Danny Ricciardo could spoil it for Red Bull this weekend by inter-team fighting.
No, well, they've been so good with each other.
Trying to fight for the position of a race lead is the only way I think Red Bull won't win the race. I actually think.
I don't know that there is another thing that could stop Red Bull winning the race.
I expect them to be that quick.
Cocking up another pit stop.
I tell you what, I don't think Red Bull are going to be quick enough where it's just them fighting each other for the win.
I think they will be.
I think they've got a chance, but I think Mercedes is still going to go into this the strongest team. They're going to have an outside chance of upsetting that, I think. But the thing is, I don't think you're going to have that Red Bull problem, because time and time again we see that look at where Ricciardo was compared to Magnussen when they started the race. When he did that.
Magnussen or Verstappen?
Magnussen. No, Verstappen.
Yeah.
Motherfucker. He had the early pit stop, and he came screaming back through the grid.
Yeah.
If they hadn't have put him on those tyres and given how the race started, and he'd started on the other tyres with Max, he'd have been well down the road. And I think there's. I don't understand how everyone loads praise all over Max Verstappen without questioning his race pace. I don't understand why no one else sees that.
I don't think I know what you mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean, because he's great at qualifying and he's great at defending.
Yeah.
Well,
is he great at defending?
He defends a lot.
Yeah.
He defended to the point where they had to change the rules on defending.
Or they had to tighten the rules or clarify the rules.
Yeah.
Or... Talking of which, Danny Ricciardo and Christian Horner are going on at Charlie Whiting about track limits. They've both sort of mentioned that they need to be clamped down on fully.
Fucking right. 3 strikes and you're fingered. That's what it should be.
And in Brazil, you've got some opportunity to run wide, particularly
coming out of turn
4.
Yeah, and
then the following 2 turns after that.
What would be 1, 2 out of 2?
Yeah, you can, but I think you're more likely to lose time there, whereas you could sort of hang it on around the outside of 4.
I don't know that you see them go out quite wide on that quite a lot, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, they do need to be clamped down on these track limits, because if they're clamped down on them, there's going to be no argument as to, well, there's no advantage gained, and there was this and there was that. If you watch this guy's steering wheel, and then just stop it. Make the rules so clear cut.
Yeah,
like
if you run wide, you get warned. If you run wide again, you get a final warning. If you run wide a third time, 5 seconds.
Yeah,
we watched Mexican Grand Prix with somebody who doesn't watch Formula One, and like I said to you last week, there's a little bit of confusion as to somebody who's quite new to the sport as to why somebody, hang on a second, why is that different to what somebody else did earlier on?
It should scale in severity as well. So you get, you can if you do it 3 times, you get 5 seconds added on, or your 5 seconds penalty when you go in the pit lane.
Yeah.
And then it should be, if you do it again, you let off it. Second time, it's a drive-through.
Yeah.
And then if you do it again after that 1 time, it's a fucking stop and go.
Yeah.
Just have it, scale it in severity. That'll stop doing it.
The more you do it, the more you get penalised. And obviously the penalties are cumulative.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only way to stop that, because it's become the big sort of argument point of the season.
Yeah, and we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's just.
Let's talk about the racing.
Yeah,
we've already sort of touched on Mercedes.
Yeah.
So what are we saying then? Hamilton or Rosberg?
Lewis is coming off the back of a win, but he's never won here. He needs the win to keep the championship hopes alive.
Well, yes, he does need a win to keep the championship hopes alive, but
But it's out of his hands, because he can win the next 2 races and still not be world champion.
Yeah, that's it. A finish ahead of Rosberg, basically, to chop that points gap down and take it to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. I think we'll more than likely see a Mercedes 1-2.
Really?
If it's not a 1-2, then it'll be a 1 DNF.
I don't think Rosberg will be on the podium. I just think something's going to happen here. I still think Hamilton's going to win the championship, and this is the race where something's going to go wrong. Don't know what.
I mean, a win for Lewis and a DNF for Rosberg. Lewis is ahead in the championship going into the last race.
Yep. I don't know if it'll be a DNF or something like that, but I do think you might find a...
And the fight as well, where I've said it before.
Yeah.
About team radio. Don't be silly here, guys. Come on, keep it fair fight. There will come a point where those drivers stop listening to the team radio and be like, no, this is championship now.
See, I don't...
Yeah, it happened, Austria.
I don't believe that if it wasn't for... If Danny hadn't have had his fuck up with not a fuck up, but early pit stop and had to overtake all those cars to get back up to where he was, Rosberg wouldn't have been second in the last race.
No.
And yeah, I don't think he's... I think he's tightening up in the car. I think you can see that by how he's driving, which to a certain extent makes his qualifying lap, considering where he was pace-wise before that one lap to put himself second on the grid, exceptional lap for him to pull that out of the bag from nowhere. But I think if the pressure was getting to him last week, the pressure's going to be worse this week.
Yeah, but that voice will creep in. It will. If it hasn't already. What about the championship, Nico?
All he needs is a fucking feisty Verstappen or Danny Ricciardo to a certain extent, although I suppose you can trust Ricciardo a bit more.
Or to sit behind Hamilton a second and think, this is alright, this is all I need, and then to make a huge mistake.
Yeah. Look at McLaren when Lewis almost lost the championship in Brazil. All they focused on was finishing 5th, and when you focus on just finishing where you need to finish, when something goes wrong, you're fucked. There's no buffer there.
Yeah, it used to work for Prost, but I don't think it's ever worked for anyone else.
No.
Exactly. The calculated professor.
Yeah.
Lewis to get the better result of the two, I think, is a given.
Yeah. Weak hair game compared to Rosberg. But
so we're
he's probably got the most expensive haircut on the grid.
Rosberg?
No, Lewis.
Probably, yeah. I'd imagine so. He also
Danny Rick, a haircut that suits his head, but not one that I could pull off.
No, I couldn't pull it off. Same, like he has some questionable facial hair as well sometimes, doesn't he?
Yeah, and the blonde thing that was.
Yeah.
The
the perm mohawk thing as well. I wasn't taken by that. Yeah. I'm gonna have to work some kind of hair pun into the title for this show, aren't I?
Yeah.
Do you know what you do?
See,
if I was a fucking Formula 1 driver, that's what you do. You dye your hair the same colour as your helmet. That would be ace.
Okay.
It'd be a lot easier to do now. It's only one helmet change per season. I mean, could you imagine? Vettel would have been dyeing his hair every week.
Yeah, be bald by now.
Yeah.
be bald and have some sort of peroxide poisoning.
Maybe that's what it is. But yeah, we're going to stick our necks out then and say we don't expect Rosberg to take the championship in Brazil, or we don't want him to take the championship in Brazil.
I want to see it go down to the last race, and I think it will.
I think a proper Formula 1 championship should go down to the last race. I don't think it was a proper championship last year when Hamilton ran away with it. I don't think a lot of the Vettel years were proper championships because they were already, if they weren't sewn up by the last race, it was, you needed
two of them.
you needed something monumentally terrible to go wrong, and then we had one year where it did sort of go monumentally wrong, but he rescued it anyway.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to see it go to the last race. I would.
Yeah. That is about it for the team-by-team previews.
Mm-hmm.
Should we do the mailbag?
Yeah, go on.
Because we've had a few.
Yeah, let's have a quick mailbag.
Yeah. We'll start with one from Michael Hassel, who...
Hoff.
No,
Michael
Hon.
Hasselhoff.
Michael Hassel, Hon, my screen in front of me.
Oh.
He's the opposite of the Hoff. Mainly, I'm reading this one out mainly. It came in late. He did admit by saying, you might not get this as you're probably recording now. But we did get it, even though we are recording. And
Definitely recording now.
We are. And it's from my hometown of York, so I'm reading this one out.
Okay.
Minster men forever. I'm not going all Raz.
You're a Minster man?
Yes.
Minster.
Oh, right. Ginster.
Pasty fella. If you had the money and wanted to build an F1 team, who would it consist of?
Good people.
Two drivers from current and upcoming drivers, team principal, head of racing, and a past driver as a non-executive director. And no, Lee, you can't nominate yourself for all of the roles.
I feel we've done this question before.
We have, but I'm only reading this out because it came in while we were recording this from York.
A past racing driver.
We'll just touch on which past racing drivers do you think would make a good...
Well, there's only one past.
In the Lauda role.
There's only one past, and that is Pastor Maldonado.
You'd want him as your sort of non-executive director, Lauda spokesman.
No.
And driver coach.
No. No, Alain Prost all the way.
Yeah, it worked well when he had his team, but the money ran out.
Yeah.
Strategy-wise, they were absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Driver selection-wise, they were
Pretty good.
Pretty good, as much as their money allowed, but they had to put Shinji Nakano in the car.
Yeah.
Because they needed the Honda engines.
Sounds like an anime character.
Shinji Nakano.
Yeah.
Any other drivers that you think would actually make good former drivers that would make good team executives?
Scott Speed.
No. I said drivers.
Oh.
Former drivers that make good non
Ukio Katayama.
Did he own his own team, or was that Aguri Suzuki?
That was Aguri Suzuki, the Super Aguri, or as everyone used to call it, Super Friends.
Yeah.
And they were anything but super.
Yeah, they were pretty terrible, weren't they? Former drivers that would make good non-executive.
Eddie Irvine.
Yeah. Eddie Irvine.
You'd let him organise the office party for definite.
Fucking right.
Actually, I can't think of too many ex-drivers who are stoic enough.
That's because they're drivers and not.
No, but since they left driving to, everybody sort of relaxes a little bit. Like Nigel Mansell, you might have said at one point, but not now. Nigel Mansell's too friendly and a bit sort of.
Before the accident, Michael Schumacher.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
He could probably still do Sauber.
Well, he could probably still do. He could probably do the job most people couldn't do these days. To be honest with you, he still has probably a better brain for Formula One than anyone else. Probably just can't get his thoughts and into actual words and actions. But keep fighting, Michael, and all that. But we heard some news from Ross Brawn. But Michael Schumacher would have been an excellent choice.
But yeah, who else is out there? Because I just don't think. I mean, Lauda was a completely different case because he was so meticulous and focused about every single thing.
Fernando Alonso.
He's still driving.
No, but when he retires
next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would be about it. Jensen, no.
Shock tactic:
really.
Fernando Alonso replaces Ron Dennis at McLaren, and Button comes back to drive alongside Van Dorn.
That could work. Another email from regular contributor Barnaby the Cartoon Bear, and he's pointed out something that we completely missed.
Barney the treacherous bear.
We've forgiven him now. He has apologised.
How you have?
He got his penalty.
He took his penalty, and then sent his time in late for the following race, so he didn't get included.
I'd have sent him to the chair.
the naughty chair, right?
No.
But yeah, he's found an article that we managed to completely miss last week. Mobil are changing their sponsorship from McLaren to Red Bull for next season.
Is that because McLaren's not very mobile?
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, ExxonMobil, isn't it, which are one of the biggest fuel companies in the world.
Yeah.
Mobil One has been on the McLaren since, well, forever.
Yeah, and Esso for European races, and Exxon
then
for
Exxon for American races.
yeah.
And then it does appear that they are going to be on a Red Bull next year.
Yes.
And McLaren have another fuel partnership in place, which might be the reason that ExxonMobil have jumped ship, or they might have jumped ship and McLaren have
they're actually bringing the Castrol name back to the grid.
If Exxon haven't ever used...
McLaren are bringing Castrol back to the grid.
Yeah, Castrol BP.
Oh, nice.
Part of the same group.
Oh,
Wait,
cool.
so if Castrol are coming back, then we'll see a Castrol McLaren next year in Castrol colours.
That would be ace.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Anyone noticed that McLaren have been teasing red and white again?
Have
on
they?
their social media feeds? Yeah.
Well, today they have been teasing red and white, but
For the last couple of weeks, it's been sneaking in.
Right, well, that today is a very good reason, because today marks the 23rd anniversary of Ayrton Senna's last Grand Prix victory, which he did in a McLaren at Suzuka.
In a red and white one.
In a red and white McLaren, yeah. No, I hadn't realised that McLaren had been teasing red and white, but you know what, Castrol, you could have a red and white McLaren with a touch of green in it.
With a touch of green in it for the Castrol colours.
I nearly wore my Castrol t-shirt tonight as well. I actually had it in my hand and I thought, no, I'll put my Terminator shirt on instead.
Because it reminds you of Toto.
It does, Totonita.
But yeah, we're actually going to see the Castrol logo back on the grid for the first time since
94, if I'm right.
94, yeah.
Lotus, the old Johnny Herbert Lotus was Castrol coloured.
It was.
Anything since then?
I don't think there has been. But
if anybody knows different, please let us know.
Please do let us know, because we're happy to be told that we're wrong.
If Exxon have never used Tom Jones to advertise their product, there's something wrong.
Exxon, you're my Exxon.
Oh God!
You can give me petrol when I need to turn it off.
That was a thing that happened.
I'm not sorry.
No, but I'm glad you were filling for time, because my tablet decided to slow down while it was opening Twitter.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Cameron Hutton.
Hello, Cameron.
Hiya, Cameron. Fat Perlo on Twitter.
Oh, hello.
One of the best Twitter handles ever.
Yeah, definitely. Do any of you think Lee could talk you into watching WWE again? He's been trying.
Yeah. I used to watch it, not so much now.
I don't think you deserve it.
Fair enough.
Right, in that case, I'll go home and watch it just to annoy you. Is Razor Ramon and Diesel still in it?
No.
Oh, right, okay.
Razorb's still alive. That's quite
Is
impressive.
he?
Yeah.
Is Razor Ramon Scott Hall? Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's not actually managed to do himself in yet.
No, he stopped drinking and taking drugs now, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and his Hall of Fame speech was fucking ace.
Wow.
Bad times don't last forever, but bad guys do.
Awesome.
That is a very Razor Ramon thing to say. I did notice actually on Netflix, scrolling through documentaries the other day, and there's one about sort of Jake the Snake rebuilding his life.
That's fucking ace, that documentary.
I've got it on me.
Yeah,
I've got it on my
so
to watch
good.
list.
Like, Laura was fucking crying her eyes out watching that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I punched her.
Why were you doing to
I
her?
punched her in the face.
Oh, right, okay.
Sorry, I just used my mobile device to do a little bit of research. I believe it was the 93 Lotus F1 when the teammates were Johnny Herbert and Alex Zanardi in the Lotus F1 team. It was the last Castrol sponsored Formula 1 car on the
So if
grid.
Zanardi was driving it, it wasn't a very good car because he never had a good car in his Formula 1 career.
Well, no.
Great driver, great sportsman, great inspiration. Lousy luck when it came to choosing F1 teams.
Yeah, at least he got a foot in
No.
Wonderful inspiration there.
I think I should do stand-up, Alex.
No, I think with your quality of jokes, it wouldn't be stand up. It would be duck, cover, and run. Another tweet that came in earlier from Kev de Boss.
Is he the boss?
It's got a ridiculous name.
He may well be the boss. He asks, would Ross Brawn joining F1 governance benefit Mercedes or Ferrari more?
Wouldn't benefit either of them because he fell out with both.
Well,
he didn't fall out with Ferrari.
Well, I don't know, because one thing that he said is in the interview that he's given multiple times.
He referred to Toto Wolff and Niki Lauda as treacherous.
Yeah. But he has said that if he was in charge, Ferrari's power of veto wouldn't be a thing.
Mm.
So I think that would benefit Mercedes more, as well as all the other teams on the grid that aren't Ferrari.
I don't think it would benefit Mercedes or the rest of the teams. It'd benefit Formula One in fucking general.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Formula One needs someone like Ross Brawn, preferably Ross Brawn, to come in, just to change things round. And getting rid of Ferrari's power of veto would be the best thing that he could do.
I like the idea of that interview. We say, we're getting rid of your power of veto. I would like to use our power of veto.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, it got mentioned that when the next Concord Agreement's drawn up in 2020,
that's going to be a huge shake-up.
Why is it called Concord?
because the original agreement was drawn up and agreed on, and the meetings for it were held in the Place de la Concorde Hotel in Paris.
Oh, right, cool.
So it became the Concorde Agreement, just named after where it was.
Yeah.
Because if they'd have held it somewhere else, we could be all talking about the next signing of the Burt's Chippy Agreement.
That is some fucking knowledge there for you, Paul. I'm very impressed that you knew that right off the top of your bonds.
I actually did that without looking at a mobile device.
Yeah.
That is one fact I know. Which is why the whole sort of Formula Lee agreement is called the Your Front Room on the Big Sofa Agreement.
Right, and now it all falls into place.
Now do you understand why it's called that?
Yeah.
Because that, of course, is where we came up with it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, get rid of the power of veto, and let's face it, if he does that, he can do what the hell else he wants.
Yeah.
It's just that it won't be putting Ferrari effectively in charge of the sport.
Do you know, I know we've already talked about
if
this.
Ferrari continue imploding, they may well go see you later.
Do you know the best thing?
But if Ferrari goes see you later and they're still signed up to an agreement that's in force, they would be not taking part in Formula One, and they could sit on the sidelines going, actually, no, you're still racing, but I don't think you should do that.
Yeah. I think the best thing that the new owners of Formula One can do is essentially make the the sport a better deal for teams, and I don't just mean in prize money. I mean if they can push the sport to where there's more eyes on the sport and get it out more, then they will have more of an they'll have more power in bartering deals essentially with them. Yeah. Because at the minute, if they try and push something through, the teams can get together and say, "Oh, we won't race." But if you could build Formula One up, can you imagine, for instance, a team in IndyCar threatening to pull out of the sport if someone else did, and they say, "Fucking sound,"
go
because someone else will come in and take your spot.
Go on, we'll see you.
Yeah.
I was reading a very.
It's
mind you, I suppose you get that in a lot of amateur series.
Well, hey, but it's actually happened in IndyCar twice, because IndyCar has split up and got back together a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because some teams wanted to do one thing, some teams wanted to do another, and you've just been left with absolute.
Let's call the whole thing champ.
Yeah, absolute carnage. Yeah, well, they had to call it champ because the teams that formed Champ Car weren't allowed to use the words Indy and car.
Yeah.
Good lord. But yeah.
Oh no, it was Champ Car Racing, wasn't it?
For a while.
Yeah.
And then it was kart.
Yes, then it was kart.
Yeah.
But I read something quite interesting the other day, actually, over the weekend, with something to do with Ferrari. When Ferrari have found themselves in the poop before.
When they find themselves in times of trouble.
When they find themselves in times of trouble, Maurizio Rivabelli comes to me, speaking some Italian.
It's your fucking fault!
Marcioni. Oh dear. Sergio Marcioni.
We need an aerodynamicist. Marcioni.
It's all gone wrong. No, but when they found themselves in trouble, Fiat. No. Fiat they've actually looked at Fiat to come up with a solution for them, being the owners of Ferrari as well as other Italian marques, and Fiat have actually put other alternatives forward. So don't be surprised if I don't want to say that Fiat would go into Formula One as Ferrari, potentially Alfa Romeo, which was spoken about earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Or Chrysler, because they're the same group. It would appeal more to the American market.
Mm.
And the Fiat Group have dug Ferrari out of motorsport holes in the past.
Yeah.
Especially in the 70s when somebody changed the rules about we need to make sure that this is a real engine, and Ferrari you can't just build an engine and put it in because that's against the rules. There has to be an actual road going engine. So Ferrari made Fiat make the Fiat Dino. So the Fiat Dino had an engine that was able to compete as a Ferrari marque in motorsport. That's literally how the Fiat Dino came around.
Yeah, I do remember saying something like that a long time ago, but when you get to my age, the memory starts to... Where was I?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that it for tonight?
I think that's about... That is about it for tonight. We will just do the usual get in touch kind of thing.
Get in touch.
Get in touch with us. You can tweet us at 3 Legs 4 Wheels.
Still disappointed with the amount of Facebook page likes.
Yeah, let's get those Facebook numbers up.
Yeah. Just go and do it now. Just do it now.
You've all got your phones in your pocket. May as well.
Yeah. Email 3legs4wheels@gmail.com.
Yeah.
If you want to tweet Lee, he is
a total shunt.
But if you want to tweet Lee, his Twitter handle.
A total shunt.
Had to get that one in. And we want to thank everyone so far that sponsored us on Patreon.
Yeah.
If you want to pledge, you can do it from as little as $1 a month, US dollars, because I know we've got listeners in various other countries that use various other dollars. $1 a month gets you an extra podcast every week, which isn't about Formula One. Just as a hint, tonight is there's about a few rock and roll stories, not as many hair comments.
No.
Some inappropriate jokes.
Some inappropriate behaviour.
Where?
Well,
every time you opened your mouth.
Oh.
Don't you remember you were there?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's usually the four of us, but as I say, we're Danless tonight. The four of us just talking generally about life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah, but don't worry, Dan's okay.
And good luck, America.
Huh?
And good luck, America.
Good luck, America. We're thinking of you.
For all side jokes, our American listeners have choices to make, and I don't think either of them are very easy.
No.
But just remember this, America. We'll take you back if you want to.
Yeah. Just quickly as well, we've got a guest next week, don't we?
But we've possibly got a guest on next week's show, but we'll leave that a secret.
Yeah. Why?
Because I'll tell you what, if you sign up to Patreon, you'll get access to the podcast and you'll find out who our guest is for next week.
And, well, what I was also going to point out was the fact that it's not very good if we don't tell them who the fucking guest is. But our Patreon members, we're going to take questions from Patreon members for the guest.
Our guest, who is very involved in the broadcasting side of Formula One on UK and American TV, and is a well-respected authority on motor racing. I think we've teased that enough, haven't we?
Mm-hmm. I think so. If you want to find out who that is and get your questions in, you know what to do.
You know what to do. Go onto Patreon and it'll be on there. So we'll see you next week.
Absolutely.
Bye.
And enjoy the race this weekend. Bye.